Warrior Lord, Chapter 234, Defeat You. Chapter 234, Defeat You. The sky above the endlessly immense desert was red. It was sweltering. A line of 11 warriors was slowly moving in the scorching desert. Xiekue was leading while Qingman lagged far behind from him. The warriors of the evil wonderland gathered around Xiekue, ignoring Qingman. As they seemed to know who was going to be the future master of the evil wonderland, they decided to follow Xiekue after the dispute between Xiekue and Qingman without making any attempts in mediating the conflict between Xiekue and Qingman. Qingman, with her appealing body, was far behind alone. Her gorgeous face looked worried. Remember, in the fight with the Yangs this time, if Qingman continues not using her full power, you guys can detain her so that she won't be our encumbrance. While leading with a cold and gloomy face, Xiekue lowered his voice, commanding the following warriors of the evil wonderland. Yes, sir. They nodded and quietly looked at Qingman far behind with meaningful eyes. Qingman's beautiful eyes had a dull look. She apparently knew that her fellows kept their watchful eyes on her, but she couldn't do anything. At this time, she regretted not leaving the chasm battlefield and returning to the Kiara Sea sooner. She did not want to be part of this anymore. However, no one could find a way back. Going back alone without being sure about the direction was dumb. Although she was in a dead-end situation and knew that Xiekue and his fellows wouldn't be nice to her, she had no choice but follow them. A patrol of 11 warriors was moving forward to a dune. 5 warriors of the evil wonderland were closely following Xiekue and considered Xiekue's command as their mission. The other warriors who belonged to the Penglai Divine Land and the Heaven Lake Divine Land did not talk too much either. They silently followed Xiekue, hoping that Xiekue would help them find their other fellows and a way to get out of this devilish desert. Boom, boom. Suddenly, a big explosive sound came up from the dune in front of them. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A screeching tornado suddenly appeared and quickly approached them. Golden sand engulfed the entire sky. 6 massive whirls completely covered this area. No one could see anything in this thick golden sand mist. A warrior was pulled into the howling tornado and was twisted by the golden sand without being able to move. Who is it? Xiekue shouted. A small, long snow sword instantly emerged from his wrist. The hilt of this sword suddenly generated a dazzling yellow halo. As soon as Xiekue launched a slash, many different points of light spread out from the inside that dazzling golden halo, forming a beautiful curve, going into the dune in front of him. Bang! A figure emerged from the dune all of a sudden and quickly dashed towards Xiekue, crossing those yellow lights. Serene. Xiekue's face slightly changed. He suddenly burst out laughing coldly and said, "It's good that you are here. I was worried I could not find you. You voluntarily come out. You really want to die." Right after finishing his words, Xiekue's body slightly leaped up, retreated into the dune and disappeared without a trace. After Xiekue's disappearance, another warrior was tightly tied up by the tornado that was formed by the gravitational field in the desert. The convoluted force in this field did not allow that warrior to move. He could only scream out from the inside of that tornado while the profound chi speed in his body was getting slower as well. The screech of the howling wind came up. Qingman, who lagged far behind, also lunged toward Serene like a strong wind. There were full of complicated emotions in Qingman's eyes. However, she wasn't hesitant to launch the attacks toward Serene. Warrior lore, as soon as her appealing body leaped up, many sharp wind blades plunged out and created strange screechy sounds in the air. At the same time, Xiekue extruded his head out of the dune where he was hiding. His snow sword discharged a dazzling yellow streak of light. An earth dragon made of golden sand suddenly flew out from the dune. Many golden sand walls also extruded next to Serene. Serene, my martial spirit can control soils and sand. Killing you here is as easy as turning my hand over. Xiekue coldly smiled and continued, "You should have died sooner. Who are you to have Xian Yan's attention? Only I, who is the future master of the evil wonderland, deserve to have a beautiful lady like Xian Yan. You don't deserve her." Serene was standing motionlessly with a cold face in the middle of the golden sand. His look was cold-hearted. Qing Man's wind blades darted towards Shi Yin, striking his face. However, he kept standing motionlessly. After all of the wind blades had pierced through Shi Yan's body, Qing Man realized that they had shot his shadow only. Xie Kui's eyes shrank with fear. He recognized that his golden sand earth dragon, together with those walls, had made Shi Yan's shadow to be the attacking target. The real Shi Yan had already stayed away to avoid the attack. I wanted to fight with Xie Kui only, right inside this dune. You should not be involved. After Shi Yan raised his eyebrows and flickered his consciousness, an invisible gravitational field swept over from his right and instantly detained Qing Man's sexy body. At the same time, another gravitational field silently approached Xie Kui and also tightly tied him up all of a sudden without giving him time to take precautions. Activating the electric shift, Shi Yin plunged to Xie Kui as fast as the lightning. As soon as my legs touched the ground, this thing of yours doesn't affect me. Xie Kui frigidly laughed while his body went back into the dune again in a blink, escaping from the confinement of the gravitational field. Xie Kui had two kinds of martial arts, the tree spiritual martial and the earth spiritual martial. As long as his two legs remained on the ground, he could comfortably hide inside the earth. It was not easy to defeat him, except that one was capable of killing him after one strike only. Although Xie Kui had already disappeared into the sand, his voice still came up from underneath. Shi Yin, I will cut your head off. I will keep it until I see Xun Yin again. I will take your head and give it to her. Is it interesting? Shi Yin was standing on the dune with an ignorant face while quietly urging his negative forces. Right after the three big demon mirages which were condensed by the negative forces suddenly appeared, they immediately dashed towards the warriors who had been tied up by the tornadoes. Shi Yin stood still on the spot, closed his eyes, seeming to wait for something. Out of Shi Yan's expectation, Xie Kui didn't care to save his fellows who had been in the confinement of the gravitational field. Instead, he still stayed hidden inside the dune and quickly moved to Shi Yan's feet in silence. A cruel smile beamed out from the corner of his mouth. A harsh light flashed up and instantly disappeared in his eyes. No matter how Xie Kui could imagine, he would never believe that Shi Yin had successfully formed the Sea of Consciousness. In a particular range, no living movements could escape from the vision of his soul consciousness. Xie Kui kept himself completely hidden inside the dune without exposing any part of his body. Therefore, it wasn't easy for Shi Yin to catch and kill him, although Shi Yin could identify his location. However, if Xie Kui wanted to attack Shi Yin, he had to expose himself, and this was a good chance for Shi Yin. Boom, boom, boom. A big sound reverberated right under Shi Yan's feet. A bunch of earth clubs emerged from underneath the sand. Shi Yan's body kept swaying and swinging in the middle of those earth clubs, and then suddenly cast out toward one direction. Inside the dune, Xie Kui quickly moved to the place where Shi Yin would land and patiently awaited. As soon as Shi Yin descended, he would instantly burst through the sand and launch one single powerful strike to kill him. While Shi Yin was still in the air, many energetic seals, one after one, were condensed and released from between his two hands. The life seals and death seals had already stacked over each other even before his feet touched the ground. The life and death seal pounded straight down on the ground. Boom! A terrified explosive sound came up from the place where Shi Yin was going to land. When the explosion resounded, a figure was knocked straight out from inside the dune. Even that snow sword was also struck away that figure's hand by the great life and death seal. After Shi Yin had landed, he stretched out his hands grabbing the hilt of Xie Kui's sword, and then activated the electric shift dashing towards Xie Kui like an electrical current. The corners of Xie Kui's mouth were full of blood. After having been hit by one full power strike of the life and death seal, his body was injured. If there wasn't the protection of the earth armor, his body's system should have had completely crushed into ashes by this life and death seal. Seeing Shi Yin approaching as fast as the lightning, Xie Kui hurriedly used his old trick going back inside the dune. As soon as one of his feet touched the ground, Shi Yin quickly glided over and lifted his left foot, stepping on Xie Kui's right foot. Xiaokui felt extremely painful on his right foot before he was about to disappear underneath the sand. Although he still tried to hide into the sand, he now realized that the sword had pierced through his other foot. Run? You still want to run? Shi Yan's eyes looked cruel, and his face was brutal. He was staring at Xiaokui while coldly laughing. You. Xiaokui's face dramatically changed. Shi Yan was still firmly stepping on his left foot. The sword pierced through Shi Yan's left foot first, and then through Xiaokui's right foot. Their left and right feet both stuck together. To prevent Xiaokui from hiding into the sand, Shi Yan had daringly speared the sword through his right foot. Boom, boom. As their feet had been pierced through together, Xiaokui and Shi Yan were now in the face-to-face position. The forces inside their bodies furiously churned up, and their martial techniques were ready to be launched. A drastic fight was about to happen. With one foot being tightly speared through, the other foot being heavily stepped on by Shi Yan's foot, Xiaokui had no way to make any moves. At the same time, Shi Yan's petrification martial spirit started to be activated. Shi Yan's entire body became as hard as iron. The second sky of rampage appeared once again. The number of forces inside his body was doubled just in a blink. Boom. Energetic seals violently exploded between Shi Yan and Xiaokui. Faint yellow lights emitted around Xiaokui's body, while his two hands formed an invisible seal which created miraculous rippling waves outside his chest to protect himself from Shi Yan's attack. Cut my head off. Shi Yan displayed his fierce look while freely releasing the tremendous power of the second sky of rampage. The life seals and death seals were constantly striking Xiaokui's chest and destroying all of Xiaokui's opposing forces. Shi Yan's petrification martial spirit, his refinement body, and his body's sturdiness were some things that Xiaokui could have never acquired. In the second sky of rampage state, the forces that Shi Yan could gather was far more than that inside Xiaokui's body. Therefore, in the frontal fight like this, Xiaokui was the only one who was crushed and destroyed as he had no remaining defensive power. Explode! Shi Yan crazily shouted. The life seals and death seals stacked up and struck Xiaokui's head altogether. Xiaokui's head exploded after this strike. Skull and blood scattered everywhere. He died right away. Chapter 235. Today is better than before. Chapter 235. Today was better than before. When Xiaokui's head exploded, a flock of warriors inside those tornadoes was also swallowed up and devoured by the three demon mirages. After gathering the negative feelings, the three demon mirages inside the gravitational field could submerge those Earth Realm warriors in the craziness after only one strike, and then easily took their lives. The ability of these Earth Realm warriors of the Kiara Sea was no exceptional. They did not have the martial spirits, nor secret weapons, nor peculiar defensive forces, and the gravitational field was also confining them. They were just like a chamois waiting for being butchered. Xiaokui's soft body without the head fell. A stream of spiritual power flowed out and went into Shi Yan's meridians. Swoosh! While one of his hands grabbed the big snow-white sword and drew it out from his foot, Shi Yan looked at Xiaokui's body without the head and cruelly said with a sarcastic tone, "You dared to fight hand-to-hand with me. You deserve to have a terrible death like this." With the petrification martial spirit and the immortal martial spirit continually being practiced and tempered, the sturdiness of Shi Yan's body was not something that other warriors could ever imagine. None of the same-level warriors could defeat Shi Yan in a hand-to-hand fight. With the effect of the immortal martial spirit, his pierced foot started recovering little by little. Shi Yan urged the electric shift again. He went into the tornadoes, standing inside them. His mystery martial spirit absorbed all the spiritual powers which were massively flowing out from the dead warriors' corpses. The gravitational field which was confining He Qing Man shrank all of a sudden. As the golden sand had blocked her vision, she didn't know what had happened. Thus, as soon as she saw Shi Yan, she instantly launched the attacks again. Enough! Shi Yan frowned and shouted. Everyone is dead. You still want to fight? Everyone is dead? He Qing Man's beautiful eyes were confused. Where is my brother? You are not capable of defeating him. His realm is higher than yours. He can also easily hide into the sand. You are not his opponent. Are you talking about Xiekue? Shi Yin pointed at the body without the head at the distance. He is over there. Except for you and me, there is no one alive here. He Qing Man was frightened. Her prominent body quickly flew to Xiekue's body. He Qing Man terrifyingly screamed out loud with fear. She dazedly stood beside Xiekue's corpse, covering her mouth. Her beautiful eyes were full of sadness. She lowered her voice and said, "He is dead. Everyone is dead. The future hope of the evil wonderland, the pride of being the future master of the next generation has gone just like this." He Qing Man was stunned, as if she was facing a fatal attack. She mumbled to herself with her shocked face. Shi Yin wasn't in a hurry to leave yet. Instead, he stood motionlessly, releasing his soul consciousness to sense the living movements around. Shi Yin didn't know that Xiekue and He Qing Man had separated from Chao Zhilan before arriving here. He had thought that Chao Zhilan's fellows were nearby. In this fight, Shi Yin had killed everyone except for He Qing Man, but he had also consumed a lot of his power. Although he was still in the second sky of rampage state, he would quickly exhaust when the counterattack spread out. If Chao Zhilan was nearby, he had to immediately retreat as he couldn't continue fighting with his current status. He closed his eyes, released his soul consciousness, and silently sensed around for a while. After being certain that there were no living movements, he felt assured and slowly walked to He Qing Man. "Where are other people?" "Who?" He Qing Man lifted her head up, bewilderedly looked at Shi Yin with a dark face. "You better return to the Kiara Sea. Being alone in the chasm battlefield is very dangerous. You've killed my brother. I have to avenge him." He Qing Man sighed. "You've killed him. You can also take my life." "Shi Yin, I couldn't imagine how come your power could have improved that much in such a short time. I remember that when you were in the Black Rock Island, your cultivation base was only the second sky of the disaster realm. If Yangmu didn't save you that time, maybe you—" Shi Yin contemplated without saying a word. "All of them are dead. I am the only one surviving. Tell me what others would say when they see me later." He Qing Man revealed a sad smile. Shi Yin shook his head and released a sigh. "You should not go to the chasm battlefield. I did not want to go there either." He Qing Man gently shook her head and reluctantly said, "It was my master's command. If I didn't go, it meant I didn't obey the order. Not only would I have troubles, but the He family would also be involved." You stand in between. It was not easy." Shi Yan's face was astounded. "Maybe Yin Mu's fellows are not here. Perhaps I am alone in this place. Your group of pursuers might be on the way to come here. Currently, no one knows the way out of this immense desert or no clues of where to search. We still should separate soon. If others find you being with me at the same place, I am afraid it is not good for you. Even if they don't see you and me at the same location, it is still uncomfortable to face them." He Qing Man miserably smiled. "When we were outside the palace, Chao Zhilan and Panja already recognized the fake fight between Yang Shui and me. If my brother and my fellows were still alive, they would have said nothing. But now I am alone. I don't know how those guys will treat me." Shi Yin knitted his brows in silence. He suddenly said after a while, "Anyway, because you and they are allies, they may provoke you, but they will not kill you. Don't worry, having regard for Yang Shui and Xian Yin, I will not harm you if I see you next time. I need to go now. Take care of yourself." After speaking, Shi Yin turned around and quickly left without letting Ha Qing Man have a chance to say anything more. After Shi Yin had absorbed all of the powers of total 11 warriors including Xiekue, his meridians currently started refining, and powerful negative feelings also started spreading out. Perhaps he would be immersed in the craziness and lose his consciousness again. Once losing his consciousness, he only had two options: either finding a woman to give vent or binding himself and suffering the pain alone. The relationship among He Qing Man, Yang Shui, and Xia Xinyan was superb. Because of Yang Shui, He Qing Man had been mistrusted and already sacrificed a lot. Shi Yin couldn't consider her the target to whom he would give vent. Moreover, as He Qing Man belonged to the evil wonderland, he could not completely trust her. He couldn't let himself be unconscious next to that lady. Very dangerous. Leaving Man, Yin quickly moved towards the hottest direction in the desert as fast as the lightning. While moving forward in the desert, he could apparently feel that the pain on his foot was fading away, and the wound was healing little by little. Inside his meridians, the spiritual chi of Kuei's fellows was refining rapidly. Different kinds of negative feelings started spreading out. Yin was trying to restrain himself. It was unknown whether because he was entering the earth realm, or because his nerves were getting stronger, that the negative feelings which were spreading out from his meridians still didn't drive him crazy yet. It was still bearable. Except for the heavy breaths, the reddened face, and a little pain on his head, the negative feelings did not pull him into the endlessly deep abyss, nor made him unconscious this time. A long time after that, familiar peculiar forces spread out from inside his meridians. 720 meridians in his entire body altogether released the energy that eased his mind. With this energy moving inside the body, he felt comfortably warm as if he was soaking in a hot spring. This time, the petrification martial spirit and the immortal martial spirit didn't take those peculiar forces. Instead, all of those forces torrentially poured into his heart. The star martial spirit. Yin's pupils shrank. He couldn't help but curse and immediately used his mind to control these peculiar forces' intention in changing the direction. Regretfully, before he could do something, his heart had already released a powerful attraction force to absorb the strange powers completely. He suddenly stopped. Gritting his teeth, Yin silently sensed his body for a while. He then discovered that even though more and more star lights appeared in his heart, there wasn't any transformation occurring. The star martial spirit in his heart couldn't gather the star powers, and he didn't know how to urge the star martial spirit either. Thus, the peculiar forces pouring into his heart was such a waste. Anyway, before he could obtain the controlling method related to the star martial spirit of the three-god sect, the star martial spirit was helpless in increasing his forces. Whoosh! After seeing no one beside Yin, the earth flame flew out from the blood vein ring again without Yin's command. Turning into a dazzling flame, the earth flame started leading the way, eagerly flying toward the hottest direction in this desert. Yin reluctantly followed it. He had no target nor direction to seek in this desert. Therefore, following the earth flame was not a bad choice anyway. The earth flame might lead to an unknown way out. Perhaps the area that excited the earth flame could have something which also surprised him. With this thought in his mind, Yin followed the earth flame in silence, although he didn't know what was awaiting him. Time quickly passed. He didn't know how long he had been following the earth flame in this desert, but he had already taken the refined pills 3 times because of his profound chi being dried up. He had used all of his profound chi in moving in this desert, and he also had to replenish it 3 times. Yin guessed he could have been going around in this desert for more than half a month. This strange place had neither the sun, nor the moon, nor the star, nor the darkness, except for the glowy red sky. After a long journey, he had shortened the distance between him and the hottest point. The earth flame was getting more excited. Yin could even feel its soul shivering. However, Yin was getting weaker. The closer he got to the hottest point, the more uncomfortable he could feel. Under the terrifying heat, even though the heaven flames had tempered his body, he still had to use more of his profound chi to resist. After having kept running like this for another while, when he nearly couldn't sustain anymore, the earth flame joyfully shouted eventually. Yin saw the place for which the earth flame had been longing. Chapter 236. The Sun Refined Spirit. Chapter 236. The Sun Refined Spirit. A significant angular meteorite plugged in the desert. That meteorite was generating beautiful lights. The whole object was glowing red, emitting terrifying sun's burning fires. The sunlight was too robust and dazzling that people could hardly open their eyes. The meteorite was like a small mountain. The majority of it was buried deep inside the dune, and only 1/3 of it exposed. Blinding red light was discharging from the meteorite, and its scorching fire power engulfed the entire area. The water inside Yin's body had evaporated a lot. If an ordinary person came here, that person would be burnt, and quickly become a desiccated corpse in only around 1 hour. Although Shi Yin had gone through the annealing process of the earth flame many times, he still could feel the severe pressure which made him hardly breathe when facing this terrifying heating power of this meteorite. There was a mysterious movement coming out from inside the meteorite. While watching the meteorite from a distance, Shi Yin immediately felt that his sea of consciousness was agitated non-stop. As he was affected by the strange power inside the meteorite, he was nearly unable to control himself, heading into that meteorite. Shi Yin believed that once he came closer to the meteorite, as soon as his body slightly touched the burning fires next to the meteorite, he would immediately turn into ashes. Not to mention the Earth Realm warriors. Even the body of a God Realm master was not sure to remain intact under that meteorite's burning fires. Shi Yin did not dare to take a risk. He just silently watched the huge meteorite from a distance. The 1,000-year earth flame had soon flown out. When he was still startled, the earth flame headed towards the meteorite and disappeared into it. Shi Yin was surprised. When he tried to contact with the earth flame, he realized that once he released his soul consciousness, the meteorite instantly emitted a terrifying power that violently stirred up his sea of consciousness, forcing him to retreat. How come? The ice-cold flame's message from the blood vein ring suddenly came out. It had been a long time since the ice-cold flame had communicated with him. As soon as it appeared, it shot out a series of icy power. The icy power quickly surged up in Shi Yin's body, spreading out to every corner of his body. Under the effect of the icy power, Shi Yin's emotion and reckless body soon stabilized. Oh, you can release powers? Yeah, this devilish ring knows you are in trouble, so it has loosened its restraint a little bit. The ice-cold flame replied and kept silent again. It was seemingly releasing its spiritual power to observe around. Not long after that, the ice-cold flame sent out a surprising feeling. The sun-refined spirit. What? Shi Yin was astonished. What did you say? That red meteorite is the sun-refined spirit from the center of the sun. It is the precious heat of the universe, the ice-cold flame explained. The sun-refined spirit can only be found in the center of the sun. It is the core firepower of the sun. As you have practiced some heating techniques, if you can have the sun-refined spirit, your power will increase immensely. Is it useful for the 1,000-year earth flame? Not only useful, this sun-refined spirit is enough for it to have a quick breakthrough to a soul completion and a strong firepower which is not less than mine. Once the earth flame absorbed the sun-refined flames in the sun-refined spirit and fused with its burning fires, its living form will immediately change. Shi Yin was panicked. What? Anything else? The ice-cold flame hesitated a bit before continuing. There seems to be something hidden inside the sun-refined spirit. It has an extremely violent vibration which was as strong as the powerful soul attack of a God Realm master. There is something inside? Shi Yin got surprised with his eyes and mouth wide opened. The sun-refined spirit is obviously from the sun in the sky. How come there is something inside? Would it come from the sun? It is not necessary from the sun. The ice-cold flame contemplated for a while. According to the legend, warriors who reach the true God realm can be considered gods. They have a superpower that can destroy the earth. Their bodies can break all the restraints in the world and fly out to the sky. It means the true God realm warriors can go to the sun. Go to the sun? Shi Yin's eyes brightened. According to you, although the thing inside the sun-refined spirit is not from the sun, it is still in the hands of the true God realm warriors. Yes, that's what I meant. Shi Yin didn't say anything more. From 100 meters far away, staring at that sun-refined spirit which was releasing dazzling burning fires and feeling his eyes hurt, Shi Yin slowly closed his eyes and mumbled to himself, "Is it impossible to come closer?" Although the earth flame had tempered his body and there was a lot of burning fire's power of the earth flame inside his body, he still hardly endured the scorching sun-refined flames surrounding the sun-refined spirit. From 100 meters away from the sun-refined spirit, he could feel his body blistering hot already. If he reached the sun-refined spirit, perhaps he would be burnt to ashes. "Do you want to come closer?" The ice-cold flame seemed to know his intention and asked. "With your ability alone, you are unable to come closer. However, with my help, it is still possible. What are you waiting for then? Shi Yin quietly shouted. Right after that, he could immediately feel the freezing icy power. Under the icy power, his body got frozen in just a blink. A solid ice spread out his entire body. It was like an ice armor wrapping him around. Under the ice shield's protection, Shi Yin realized that the heat from the sun refined spirit had disappeared. He didn't have the feeling that his body was burning anymore. Thump, thump, thump. With the ice armor, Shi Yin was more daring, moving step by step towards the sun-refined spirit. However, he still didn't dare to go too fast. 50 meters, 30 meters, 20 meters, 10 meters, Shi Yin suddenly stopped. From 10 meters away, a bunch of scorching sun-refined flames flew around the sun-refined spirit without dispersing. The sun-refined spirit was very close to him now. If he moved a little more, he could reach it, however, but he didn't know what was going to happen. You should not come closer. That is enough. The ice-cold flame warned him. Close your eyes as well. You will be blind if you keep staring at it for a long time. Shi Yin stammered in fear and hurried to close his eyes. From the distance of 10 meters, he wanted to release his soul consciousness to communicate with the earth flame again. If you don't want to be attacked by the sun-refined spirit, you better not release the soul consciousness. Once your soul consciousness is released, the thing inside that will immediately realize and attack it. I've also recognized that the forces discharging from inside the sun-refined spirit can damage your soul much more terribly than I can. In other words, you are not able to resist it. Shi Yin immediately stopped releasing his soul consciousness after being warned by the ice-cold flame. So, what should we do now? We can do nothing except for waiting for the earth flame. Only the earth flame is not affected by the sun-refined spirit. The earth flame's living form is unique. Since it dares to go closer, it is probably not afraid of the thing inside. Wait for the earth flame to come back or until it proactively contacts you. Except for that, don't do anything. As Shi Yin could do nothing, he closed his eyes, standing motionlessly 10 meters away from the sun-refined spirit and waiting. He did not dare to release his soul consciousness either, only used his body to feel the scorching sun power from the sun-refined spirit. Oh! Many streams of burning sun power from inside the sun-refined spirit were rolling towards Shi Yin. Seeming to be under the control of something, they quietly went into Shi Yin's chest and poured into Shi Yin's heart. After having received the sun power, his heart suddenly projected a red light. The star lights above his heart started brightening little by little and seemed to begin moving around above his heart as if it was some miraculous, unpredictable formation that was completely out of Shi Yin's expectation. This? The ice-cold flame was extremely astonished. The icy power inside the blood vein ring became weakened. Many sun powers went into Shi Yin's chest and quickly poured into Shi Yin's heart, which might result in some transformation inside his heart. The burning fire's power was getting more intense while his heart was able to receive more and more burning fire's powers, becoming incredibly dazzling. Blinding sunlights from Shi Yin's heart were suddenly shot out. Shi Yin instantly became a light generator. His entire body generated many powerful lights. What's happening? The ice-cold flame didn't seem to understand anything. It hurriedly communicated with Shi Yin. Why? Why can your heart absorb sunlights? The star martial spirit, I got it. The sun is also a star. The sun power is also considered as the power of stars. It should be it. While the sun power kept rolling into his heart, Shi Yin felt as if he was soaking in a boiling oil pot. This kind of pain was indescribable. That was why he couldn't even communicate with the ice-cold flame. He could only passively suffer the pain, letting the sun power flow into his heart. A bunch of mysterious whorls appeared on his chest at this moment. This peculiar black formula belonged to the Three Gods sect and started activating. The existence of these three whorls attracted more and more sun powers. They kept pouring into his heart with the speed that was getting crazily faster and faster. Boom! His body suddenly burst into flame. The scorching solar refined flame started burning inside his body. The ice-cold flame hardly communicated with Shi Yin. It knew that if it let the sun powers burn Shi Yin to ashes, Shi Yan's soul would never be liberated, and it would obviously deadly vanish in the end. If Shi Yin died, the blood vein ring would have no master anymore. Thus, it would be confined forever, which was not the result that the ice-cold flame wanted to see. The heaven icy power was getting denser and suddenly spread out from the blood vein ring. The ice-cold flame quickly released its power. It didn't regret to use the billion-year trained icy power to help Shi Yin resist the solar refined flame inside his body. Thanks to a right amount of the icy power that had absorbed into Shi Yan's body, the solar refined flames have immediately neutralized afterward. One of Shi Yan's eyes shot out the burning fires, and the other projected the icy power. His entire body entered an extremely strange state. Chapter 237. An Extraordinary Treasure. Chapter 237. An Extraordinary Treasure. The sun-refined spirit inside the dune continuously shot out stronger sun powers. Some aura seemed to be drawing the solar-refined flames, creating a state of chaos. 10 meters away from the sun-refined spirit, the flames were wrapping around a big and sturdy body which was enduring the terrifying fight between the sun power and the icy power. At this moment, the burning strength of the solar-refined flame and the icy power of the ice-cold flame were battling inside his body, causing his body to fall into the flame-ice collision state. His body changed from being freezingly chilled to uncomfortable burning just in a second. His sea of consciousness also became chaotic. A lot of negative feelings from his meridians spread out uncontrollably. Shi Yin did not know what was going on. He could only passively suffer everything. The struggle between the solar-refined flame and the ice-cold flame was still taking place inside his body. While these two powers continued attacking each other, his heart was still absorbing the sun powers from the sun-refined spirit. Shi Yan's sea of consciousness was a little chaotic. His conscious also became ambiguous. Shi Yin gradually slipped into the unconsciousness without knowing who he was. Meanwhile, the negative feelings also started diffusing inside his body. Different kinds of negative feelings became rebellious, stirring up in his head, making him almost lose himself. Under the red clouds, a big figure with full of burning fires and 2 red eyes raised his head up to the sky and roared out loud as if he wanted to destroy the universe. Horrible scream hovered around the desert and could be heard from more than 10 miles away. Who is screaming? In the desert, a line of warriors was lurching aimlessly. They all looked extremely exhausted. A girl with an elegant body was leading this group. Her eyebrows suddenly slammed together while she quickly turned around and looked toward the direction of the scream. After a while, she shouted out loud, "Gu Xiaomei, I think the guy who is screaming should be your enemy." Chao Zhilan's beautiful face was very strange. This group was Chao Zhilan, Panja, Gu Linglong, and Chu Yanqing. In the beginning, they had separated, but they had found each other again during the time going around in the desert. After having seen each other again, they voluntarily gathered and stayed together in this desert to search for the Yang family's warriors. However, no matter how hard they had searched, how many times Chao Zhilan had used her spirit god martial spirit, they were still like the blinds in this desert, impossible to find a way out. Currently, even Chao Zhilan was also a little unconscious. While they were all exhausted and didn't know what to do, they suddenly heard a terrifying scream. Chao Zhilan's sharp sense power could immediately identify the person from that scream. Thus, they instantly became excited again. "Ha ha ha, we finally identify the target," Gu Linglong urged. "What are we waiting for then? We should kill him right away." Panja smiled, nodded his head, and said, "We have been walking for a long time and been in this desert for almost half a year. The sooner we kill the Yangs, the sooner we can get out of here." "Get out of here soon?" Chao Zhilan laughed and glanced at Panja. "I don't know what miraculous solution do you have to get us out of here? I think the guy is the key point. He should be the first one who came here. He probably knows the way out." Panja scratched his head, embarrassedly said with a faint smile, "It is not right. Isn't it that we already have Miss Chao? I believe that relying on Miss Chao's spirit god martial spirit, We will certainly find out the way to get out of this desert sooner or later. I don't believe so. Chao Zhilan shook her head. Her face became serious. Shi Yan's direction is scorching. I don't think everyone can adapt to that hot temperature. If I want to go there, I have to use my secret treasure. You yourselves should carefully consider it. Everyone's face changed immediately. After a short pause, Gu Linglong and other people slightly nodded their heads and then turned around to remind their fellows to be careful and not to freely move forward to avoid being killed by the hot-burning fires. After having assigned their fellows, Panja, Gu Linglong, Chu Yanqing caught up with Chao Zhilan and quickly moved towards Shi Yan's direction. After a while, the four people of Chao Zhilan, Gu Linglong, Chu Yanqing, and Panja appeared at the distance of 500 meters away from the sun-refined spirit. From 500 meters away, because of the great and dazzling sunlight of the sun-refined spirit, the four of them could neither see Shi Yan nor know what was going on over there. The other warriors did not dare to follow them anymore. Under the scorching power of the sun, even some third sky of the Earth Realm warriors could not stand the heat and stopped far away. The reason that the four people of Chao Zhilan, Gu Linglong, Chu Yanqing, and Panja dared to come closer was that they were the outstanding future masters in the Endless Sea. Not only had they cultivated the special martial techniques, but they also had many secret treasures. Thanks to those secret treasures and the mystery martial spirit, they were able to stand the heat at the distance of 500 meters from the sun-refined spirit. However, even though they had brought some treasure weapons, they could only watch from a distance of 500 meters because their bodies had not been tempered by the heaven flames. Shi Yan, on the contrary, could stand in the distance of 100 meters from the sun-refined spirit and be not worried to be burnt by the sun-refined flame even without the support of the ice-cold flame's icy power. I cannot open my eyes. Gu Linglong screamed out loud in fear. What is that place after all? It was like a small dazzling sun. I can't see anything. Don't dare to look either. Don't open your eyes. Chao Zhilan couldn't help shouting. This can only be the sun-refined spirit. The sun-refined spirit in the center of the sun. Ordinary eyes will be blind if looking at that sunlight. The sun-refined spirit. Panja panicked. If the three god sects people come here, will they be crazily excited to see the sun-refined spirit? Regretfully, the three god sect is busy fighting with the dark dwellers right now. They didn't join us to fight with the Yang family this time. This is their mistake. If the three god sect's warriors came here with their sun martial spirits, and they found out the sun-refined spirit here, their sun martial spirits would have reached to the terrifying level. Chu Yanqing slowly closed her eyes, being unable to stand the heat anymore. Chao Zhilan did not utter a word. She just silently released her spirit god martial spirit, wanting to explore the situation over there. However, as soon as she released her spirit god martial spirit, she immediately realized that the sun-refined spirit launched a strong flow of soul vibration, forming a great soul attack chasing Chao Zhilan's spirit god martial spirit and going into her head. Tui. Chao Zhilan could help but spit a mouthful blood. Her beautiful body strenuously moved backward a few steps. She shouted with her red face, "Do not release any spiritual power. There is something strange inside the sun-refined spirit." Tui. Panja and Gu Linglong also spat out a mouthful blood, staggeringly stepped backward with clumsy faces. Chu Yanqing was panic, retreating her power timely. Just 1 second late, Panja and Gu Linglong already got severely injured. As soon as they had released the spiritual forces, the strange thing inside the sun-refined spirit had instantly attacked them. Be careful. Do not release any of your spiritual powers at all cost. Do not continuously open your eyes. Only peep at it and immediately close your eyes to avoid being blinded by the sunlight. Chao Zhilan hastened to remind them. Not good. Chu Yanqing screamed out all of a sudden. What happens? Panja quickly asked. Sure. Shi Yan is coming. Chu Yanqing stepped backward with fear. His body is full of burning fires as well as some strange icy power. What had happened after all? What? Chao Zhilan was terrified. She couldn't help but open her eyes. In their sight, the dazzling sunlight shone on a powerful and imposing figure who were quickly approaching them. That figure's body shot out two kinds of red burning fires and dark blue burning fires. The red burning fires were scalding while the dark blue burning fires were freezing. These two types of burning fires spread out all over the body, seeming still to be in a drastic fight. However, he looked very comfortable with those two kinds of fires around his body. He was dashing towards other people like lightning. His speed was getting faster and faster. Nobody knew why a bunch of these sun-refined flames seemed to be attracted to his body. Although he was lunging very quickly, these flames still closely followed him. The earth-shaking burning fire's power came up as if it had to burn the whole world into ashes. Until the moment that the two eyes were painful, Chao Zhilan realized that she could not stand it anymore. She quickly turned around without hesitation, fleeing with the highest speed. Retreat. Panja had been waiting for her to say something, but he realized Chao Zhilan had already disappeared in a blink. His handsome face slightly changed. He did not dare to say further and staggeringly followed Chao Zhilan, trying to escape from this place. Chu Yinqing and Gu Linglong still wanted to stay and fight. However, as seeing Chao Zhilan, who ranked at the top of the combat list, running away, they felt unsafe and also quickly followed he and Panja. Porch. At the same time, a 2-meter-long, half-meter-wide red sword like a burning flame suddenly flew out from inside the sun-refined spirit. They were full of ancient symbols on this giant glowing red sword. There was also a red eye on the blade. As soon as the sword flew out, the red eye quickly projected devilish red lights. A malicious spiritual vibration instantly spread out from the red sword. This brutal vibration was like a deadly tornado wiping out all the beings as if it wanted to deprive all of the being lives. That huge figure was crazily chasing after Chao Zhilan and Panja. When the sword spread out the malicious spiritual vibration, Shi Yin suddenly stopped. His eyes became bewildered. It was unknown when the blood vein ring on his finger had shot out the red light which matched the bloody color of the light radiating from the sword. They were surprisingly alike. The sun power from the sun-refined spirit continued boiling and torrentially rolling in his heart, making his heart sparkling as if there were thousands of stars twinkling. A halo of burning fires was inflaming. His body was in extreme pain as if the heated flames were burning it. The icy power of the ice-cold flame was like a cold water stream comforting his body, easing off his pain a little bit. In the middle of the desert, although Shi Yin was standing at the distance of more than 1,000 meters from the sun-refined spirit, he still could feel that the sun power of the sun-refined spirit was getting more powerful. Turning his head around and looking at the sun-refined spirit from afar, Shi Yin could feel that after a short time of the transformation, the scorching sunlight of the sun-refined spirit from the center of the sun was also gradually getting gloomier. The sun power and the sun-refined flames inside the sun-refined spirit were drying up quickly as Shi Yin, and the earth flame had consumed them a lot. Their strength had drained out more than half just after a short time. The massive outer meteorite discharged the sunlight which was less dazzling than before. Shi Yin knitted the brows as he didn't know what was happening. However, he still vaguely remembered that some people were coming here, that he quickly moved towards them from the sun-refined spirit, seeming to pursue someone. After hesitating a little bit, he released and diffused his soul consciousness to see if there were any great living vibrations. 1, 2, 3. Inside his sea of consciousness, he could easily sense that more than 10 warriors were only 2 miles away from him, running away from this place as fast as they could. Shi Yin was surprised and startled a little bit. He didn't know why those people avoided him, nor did he have the intention of chasing them. After thinking for a while, he turned around and ran towards the sun-refined spirit. Why are we running away? After a long while, Gu Linglong suddenly stopped, turning her head looking toward the red sky behind, knitting her eyebrows, speaking. That guy is Shi Yin. Do we need to run? Chao Zhilan shook her head and said, Shi Yin, we are running away not because of Shi Yin, but it is because of the appearance of that gigantic sword. It is the one we are escaping from. That gigantic sword? Gu Linglong didn't seem to understand. Her small face was a little odd. The moment when that gigantic sword appeared, my god swords transmitted a strong warning urging me to leave. Is that gigantic sword dangerous? It's hard to say how dangerous it is, Chao Zhilan said with a serious voice. However, that gigantic sword can easily kill us all. That sword's devilish power alone can crush our souls entirely. Everyone was shocked with their eyes and mouths wide open. That dangerous? Panja quietly clicked his tongue. If so, that gigantic sword is a sacred-level secret treasure. At least, it is sacred-level. Chu Yinqing also nodded her head. The devilish spirit vibration of that gigantic sword is frightening. From a far distance, I almost lost my consciousness of running away. If I did not have the secret treasure from my master, I would have died there. The eye on the gigantic sword has a fascinating power indeed. It also has a life. The faces of Panja's fellows slightly changed. Chu Yinqing's words made them remember the eye on the gigantic sword. That eye in the sky discharged bloody red lights like a bunch of demons. It made people feel extremely deadly dangerous, scared the future masters of the endless sea out of their wits without daring to fight back. What should we do now? Gu Linglong asked. Shi Yin is certainly over there. We can't come closer to him, nor do we know the gigantic sword belongs to whom. Do you think if there is anybody else in this place? Temporarily, I will use my martial spirit to see if the burning fires are still there or not. When there is no more danger, we can go there. Shi Yin cannot frighten us. If he still survives by that time, he is not our opponent, Chao Zhilan assured her fellows. Everyone nodded. Many strange lights flared up in Shi Yan's eyes. He walked to the sun-refined spirit with a surprise. How come a gigantic sword appears inside this ring? It is surely a real object. How could the ring hold this evil thing? The ice-cold flames message from the blood vein ring came up. I have taken a look at the structure of this ring. Logically, the place in this ring is not supposed to contain an object. How can it store this peculiar sword? I think this sword's hilt has something related to my ring. Why do you say that? I don't know the reason. I hazily assumed it. The blood vein rings and this sword's auras are very similar. Especially strange bloody symbols on the hilt are very similar to the one on the ring. Maybe the ring and that sword have been created by the same person. Shi Yin soothed the blood vein ring with a strange face. He sent his spirit into the blood vein ring and was able to see an open space inside it. The sword hilt was silently hovering about in this devilish bloody red space without having any auras. The earth-shaking wicked spirit vibration on the gigantic sword had disappeared without leaving any traces. Relaxing his mind, Shi Yin tried to sense the vibrating power of this sword's hilt but got nothing. He couldn't find anything on the sword no matter how hard he tried to connect with it. If he hadn't seen the strange power of this sword, he would have had felt it was just an ordinary sword, and nothing could be miraculous. It was hard to either connect with the gigantic sword or sense any spirit vibration. This gigantic sword seemed to get stuck in the blood vein ring, and thus withdrew all dazzling lights. It turned from a god sword to an ordinary sword, losing its earth-shaking strength and power. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A strange squeak came up from inside the sun-refined spirit. Shi Yin suddenly stopped, observing the sun-refined spirit from 10 meters away, feeling the sun power inside the sun-refined spirit. The sun powers massively emitted from inside the sun-refined spirit, absorbing into his body and then running to his heart. It was unknown why and how his body seemed to gradually adapt to the scorching sun powers after that earth-shaking transformation. When the sun powers poured into his body no longer generated the sun-refined flames, nor the burning fires that made his body burn up. It seemed that his body had been transformed to adapt with the sun-refined flames and get along well with the star martial spirit. Chapter 237, Gigantic Stone Castle. Just like that, Shi Yin stood not far from the sun-refined spirit. He could feel the massive sun-refined flames of the sun-refined spirit continually pouring into his heart. There was the star martial spirit of the star god from the three gods sect inside his heart. At first, The star martial spirit could only absorb the star power, not the sunlight. However, when facing the sun refined spirit this time, as soon as the sun power went into his body, the star martial spirit had developed its effects, also absorbing the sun power. What was the reason? Shi Yin knew it was not as simple as the ice-cold flame had explained. It was not because that the sun was also a star itself, so it could just absorb the sun power that way. If this were true, the three gods sect would not separate the sun martial spirit and the star martial spirit. The sun martial spirit and the star martial spirit should have its differences, could not be identical. If it's so, how could the star martial spirit absorb the sun power? Shi Yin knitted his eyebrows. Many thoughts flared up in his mind. He seemed to understand something. Peculiar forces started spreading out from his meridians. When lightning zoomed over him, Shi Yin suddenly understood the situation. During this time, his heart was absorbing a lot of the mysterious energy. It could stimulate the transformations of the immortal martial spirit and the petrification martial spirit. Should it also make a useful change for the star martial spirit, helping it reach this miraculous level? It should be so. Shi Yin nodded his head affirmatively. Swoosh! The earth flame was absorbing the scorching power of the sun-refined flames inside the sun-refined spirit. A bunch of the sun-refined flames like fire serpents disappeared into the burning fire halo of the earth flame, becoming a part of the earth flame's power, causing a marvelous transformation of the earth flame's burning power. From 10 meters away, Shi Yin was still motionless. The star martial spirit in his body, on the contrary, was still absorbing the sun power of the sun-refined spirit, contesting the power from the sun-refined spirit with the earth flame. Being consumed by the two powers, the dazzling hot sunlight started relenting gradually. Dazzling lights of the blazing red outer meteorite were disappearing little by little. The entire oppressively hot desert with the decreasing power in the sun-refined spirits became cooler. Do you feel that it is getting cooler? Yeah. The temperature in the desert seems to be decreasing. It's getting very comfortable now. It looks like something is happening here. I don't know if this can help us find the way out. Who knows? I don't want to stay in this devilish place any longer. Gosh, where is the end of the road if we keep on walking like this? Don't talk rubbish. We came to the chasm battlefield to kill the Yang family. We have not seen anyone of the Yang family yet. Even if we find a way out, don't you feel ashamed if returning without completing your mission? The warriors from different forces in the Endless Sea were gathering into groups of 3 or 5, discussing something. Chao Jilan sat alone with her knitted eyebrows. Her enchanting eyes beamed out a ray of light. After silently releasing the spirit god martial spirit, Chao Jilan started to observe everywhere and everything, including the tiny transformations of the air in the desert, to understand the weird change of this desert. After a while, Chao Jilan suddenly stood up and said, "We can go over there to see. I've recognized that neither the vigorous burning fires nor the attacking souls that could destroy our spirits exist there anymore. Now is a suitable time to go. There should not be any danger." "I'll go." Panja quickly stood up. 1 hour later, the 4 people of Chao Jilan, Chu Yanqing, Gu Linglong, and Panja returned and stopped at the distance of more than 10 meters away from the sun-refined spirit. They watched the sun-refined spirit with strange faces. "Where is Shi Yin?" Gu Linglong angrily asked. "That stupid guy disappeared again. How can we find him?" Chao Jilan still kept silent, looking at the sun-refined spirit with a strange face. She felt extremely confused. Is this still the sun-refined spirit? It is just an ordinary meteorite from outer space. The sun-refined spirit from the center of the sun has the purified burning powers of the sun. How come it has become like this? Who could absorb all the sun powers inside the sun-refined spirits in such a short time? Is it Shi Yin? A big question mark appeared in Chao Jilan's head. She was staring at the sun-refined spirits which had become a common meteorite. She did not say anything for a while. For the first time, she was concerned about Shi Yin. There were so many secrets about Shi Yin that she could not capture. Her spirit god martial spirit could easily see through people's minds, sensing all kinds of wonderful martial spirits or the opponent's potential tricks. Presently, she failed in discovering Shi Yan's secrets, and it made her anxious and worried. She was not used to letting anyone slip out of her sense control. She greatly hated this feeling of incompetence. Panja and Chu Yin-Qing also knew a little about the sun-refined spirit's legend. They were bewildered while looking at the sun-refined spirit which had turned into an ordinary stone. They didn't know what to say momentarily. A long time after that, I think Shi Yin has left. What we have to do now is identifying his direction. Chao Zhilan took a deep breath and released her spirit god martial spirit to sense around. After a while, she suddenly pointed in one direction. There seemed to be some movements over there. After a short pause, Chao Zhilan slightly exclaimed with a strange face, "Oh, how is it?" Panja asked. "Do you realize that the desert now is not the same as when we have just arrived? You guys can release your spiritual powers now. Isn't it prevented anymore? My spirit god martial spirit can finally cover its usual range. The place over there should exist some ancient formation and defensive formation. I think we can now get out of this place." Chao Zhilan calmly said. "Is it for real?" Gu Linglong shouted excitedly. The desert was getting cooler and cooler. The peculiar opposing forces in the desert had seemingly disappeared. That's true. All the changes were because of this meteorite. Chu Yin-Qing looked at the sun-refined spirit which had become an ordinary meteorite. Because of this sun-refined spirit's transformation, everything in the desert has changed. I've known it already. Chao Zhilan's appealing body was in shock. Her eyes brightened. She said in fear, "The entire desert is a devilish formation. The sun-refined spirit is both the power generator and the eye of the formation. When the power of the eye of the formation disappears, the mighty formation is immediately disabled and shows its true color." My God, there is such a significant formation like that? Gu Linglong shouted, covering her mouth. Yes, Chao Zhilan nodded. She contemplated for a while before continuing. It's not necessary to stay here anymore. I can feel that direction is where the transfer formation has left. We can take that direction. I think Shi Yin also followed that way. A moment later, Chao Zhilan and the others discovered an ancient formation in the desert indeed. This ancient formation was very similar to the one which they had used to enter the desert. Without much hesitation, they all stepped in that formation without any hesitation. As soon as the pink light flared up, they instantly disappeared from this desert without a trace. The forest was boundless. The sky and earth aura were incredibly dense. Inside the woods, the fragrance of flowers and fresh air engulfed the entire forest, making people feel refreshed and comfortable. On an ancient tree that pierced through the sky, Shi Yin was hiding inside the thick, dense layers of leaves 100 meters up from the ground, looking around. After having followed the transfer formation to come here, in the beginning, Shi Yin had thought he already returned to the endless sea, arriving at an island with full of sultry spiritual aura. However, after raising his head looking up to the sky, he knew that he was wrong. He was still in the chasm battlefield. The blue sky was clear, masses of white clouds were hovering around. However, there were none of the three gods of the sun, the moon, and the star. It was impossible to discover whether any star powers were pouring into the star martial spirit or not. The world without the three gods of the sun, the moon, and the star was obviously not the endless sea. This place was still inside of the chasm battlefield. Only the environment had changed. Although this place was in the chasm battlefield, the sky and earth auras were extremely dense. It seemed to be different from the description of Yang Mu's warriors. According to Yang Mu's group, the sky and earth auras in the chasm battlefield should be very diluted. It wasn't a suitable place for warriors to cultivate. This place had been the ancient battlefield, and only ancient mummies or explorers lived here. No warrior could be found in this area. From the distance of 100 meters from the ground, Shi Yin looked around and discovered there were many vital lives inside the forest. From afar, there seemed to be an imposing giant ancient city. The entire ancient city was made of huge stones. The colored flag was flaunting on top of the wall of the ancient city. He could vaguely see some people inside there. The location of the giant stone ancient city was more than 10 miles away from Shi Yin. The ancient city was protected by a mysterious power which prevented Shi Yin from using his soul consciousness to peep at it. Looking further, he could see nothing else but the endless forest. His ears could even hear the terrifying roars of some animals. This place was not much different from any other places in the outside world. There were spiritual auras, beasts, and also warriors, but there were no three gods of the sun, the moon, and the star. After observing at the distance of 100 meters high from the ground, Shi Yin contemplated for a while before deciding to go to the giant stone ancient city to see if warriors were living there or not. Thump! Shi Yin plunged down like a big bird and then steadily landing on the ground. In a moment, a flow of miasmatic power like billions of rope twisted around his body. As soon as he descended, he realized that he was captured and confined without being able to move. Damn pagan! A clear but cold whisper came to his ears from behind. Shi Yin wanted to turn his head around to look at the source of the whisper, but realized that he could not do it. He suddenly smelled a fragrance of orchids which sneaked into his mind, making him dizzy and fall unconsciously. Chapter 238, Demonic Sound Clan. In the darkness where nothing could be seen, Shi Yin gradually woke up. After opening his eyes, he released his soul consciousness to observe around. However, as soon as his soul consciousness flickered, there appeared an extreme pain in the sea of consciousness. This pain outburst so strongly in his sea of consciousness that he almost fainted again. His face slightly changed while he tried to control the pain, hastily holding his breath and retrieving his soul consciousness. After that, the pain disappeared. His eyes flared up in the dark, but he was still unable to see anything. While groping in the dark, he realized that surrounding him was all icy lava rocks. These lava rocks were very hard, robust, and rough. He did not know what kind of rocks they were. A formation technique seemed to have been placed in his soul consciousness. If he released the soul consciousness again, that formation technique would instantly spread out, causing him a splitting headache. Putting more effort to look around carefully, he still could not see anything. He then stood up to warm up a little bit. When he tried to urge the forces inside his body, he realized that his profound chi had been confined as well. He could not activate his power no matter how hard he tried. When the profound chi and the sea of consciousness were both in confinement, it was like an ordinary warrior's life was captured without being able to use any force. However, Shi Yin was different. Although his profound chi and the sea of consciousness were being confined, he could still use the negative powers inside his meridians which had gone through a lot of training for a long time. It was just that he did not know how to get out of this place. Because he couldn't use his soul consciousness, and even his spirit was restricted, it was hard for him to communicate with the blood vein ring, nor receive the messages of the ice-cold flame and the earth flame. The stone chamber was pitch black. Shi Yin was sitting still, waiting in silence. He knew that the one who had captured him and still let him alive would appear sooner or later. As he didn't know this place, he had to be careful, not urging the negative forces to destroy the stone chamber. He should just wait in silence. From where has Miss ECU by captured him? There have been no human beings in our place for a very long time. It is unknown where that guy came from. Humankind rarely appears in our place. Missy Cuyubai has gone out and brought that guy back this time, but she just detains him instead of killing him right away. We don't know what she wants. Whatever, bring that guy to Missy Cuyubai. Shi Yin could hear the two miasmatic male voices outside of the stone chamber. Not long after that, a creaking sound reverberated in this airtight stone chamber. The dim light from the outside sneaked in, and two sickly miasmatic guys appeared from there. In the dim light, Shi Yin focused and realized that their faces were pale, and their bodies were very skinny. They emitted a faint icy miasmal aura and didn't seem to have a temperature. It was devilish indeed. Stand up, follow us. Our lady wants to see you. One of the two guys coldly said. Shi Yin lifted his eyebrows but didn't say anything. He did as he had been told. You should obey us. I am not afraid to teach you some rules. The guy threw a sharp glance at Shi Yin and then went ahead to lead. Follow us. Shi Yin said nothing, quickly going out of the stone chamber and silently observing around. It was a big and long corridor. Both sides were stone walls where there were many drawings of beasts, as well as some luminescent stones to light up the hallway. Those luminescent stones were not bright. They were a little bit dim, actually. In that faint glow, Yin could not realize what kind of the beasts drawn on the walls. The two guys with the cold miasmatic bodies looked quite good-looking. While they were leading, they often turned their head back, watchfully glancing at Yin. As the sea of consciousness was in confinement, Yin wasn't able to release his soul consciousness. Thus, he had no idea about those two guys' ability. However, from the miasmatic movements spreading out from their bodies, Yin could guess that their level was not high. If his strength recovered, he could easily kill these two guys. However, in the situation where he did not know what was going on, Yin did not dare to do anything recklessly. Being capable of avoiding his soul consciousness and effortlessly capturing him, that lady with the clear, cold voice apparently had a profound realm. Facing such a high-class master like that, he would surely have a horrible consequence if he recklessly took any actions. After having followed the two guys through a long corridor, Yin entered a huge hall. This large hall had a round shape, several big stone columns situated inside of the hall. Many miasmatic guys and girls were standing, seeming to wait for something or someone. They all had miasmatic aura with a slender body shape and the pale skin as if they rarely exposed themselves under the sunlight. There was a senior man with long, regular breaths, a goatee, and ashy gray pupils inside the great hall. He was sitting alone in the center of the hall. Other guys and girls were all standing at the side. They were obviously his servants and guards. Next to him was an exceptional lady wearing a royal dress. Her eyelashes were picturesque and incredibly beautiful. At this moment, her deep crystal-clear eyes were looking at Yin from a distance. She coldly said, "Father, this is the human being that I have captured." The elder stroked his beard and slightly nodded his head. His two ashy gray eyes looked at Yin neglectfully. Yin stood at one spot but recognized that a flow of miasmatic aura seeped into his pores, silently moving in his body, seemingly exploring everything inside of his body. "Humankind, where are you from?" After looking at Yin for a while, the old man moderately asked with a voice which was unexpectedly pleasant to hear. "Who are you guys?" Yin asked without replying the man's question. Inside this chasm battlefield, there were no warriors even in the legends. This place was the warriors' battlefield in the ancient time. The sky and earth aura here is extremely diluted. Why do you stay here? Who are you after all? Is this place the chasm battlefield?
Sass.
The beautiful girl frowned and coldly said, "Answer my father's question. Don't sputter any rubbish." A flow of the sharp, spiritual soul like a sword stabbed through Yan's head. The formation technique in Yan's sea of consciousness suddenly spread out as if there were billions of worms nibbling him from the inside, causing him a splitting headache. He nearly couldn't help but scream out loud. Gritting his teeth, Yin displayed the fierceness on his face but didn't utter a sound, only staring at that woman. "It's okay, ECU, bye." The senior man waved his hand signaling ECU, bye, to stop destroying Yan's sea of consciousness. He curiously looked at Yin and said, "You are not bad." Although being hit by the devouring 1,000 souls of the demonic sound clan, you did not groan a word. If I am not wrong, your cultivation base is only at the earth realm. "Ah, father, it can't be." The beautiful woman ECU by couldn't stand by but scream out loud. He had formed the sea of consciousness. Only the Nirvana realm warriors can do it. How come an earth realm warrior can also do it? "You are right. My cultivation base is only at the earth realm." Yin slowly nodded. "I have come here from the outside world. I don't belong to the chasm battlefield. Because of some unknown reasons have I arrived here. I was in a scorching desert earlier, and come here through the transfer formation." "Are you truly ranked at the earth realm?" Her beautiful, lucid eyes astonished, looking at Yin with curiosity. "You should have experienced some enlightenment. If not, you are not able to form the sea of consciousness at the earth realm. Not bad. You are not just an ordinary warrior." The senior man stared at Shi Yin, nodding slowly. He was silent for a while and then said, "You told me you were from the outside world. Have you heard about the demonic sound clan?" Shi Yin shook his head. The elder's face looked gloomy. His eyes showed the loneliness. He said, "We left that place a long time ago, so long that the humankind does not even remember the demonic sound clan. Such a regret that we cannot leave this place. I want to know how the humankind has turned out." "Father, isn't our life in here very good? Why do you still want to go to the outside world?" ECU by confusingly asked. "You don't understand." The senior man sighed. He did not say anything more. Shi Yin was surprised. After ECU by had stirred up his sea of consciousness, he was much more obedient. Although he still had some doubts, he did not dare to ask more. "I have some questions, and I hope you answer them honestly. If your answers please me, I can let you go wherever you want. However, if your answers do not satisfy me, your life will be in danger. I will make you completely disappear." The senior man bowed his head before lifting it up and speaking to Shi Yin. At the same time, a flow of strange vibrations suddenly came out from that elder. The formation technique inside Shi Yin's body was deactivated in a blink. His sea of consciousness recovered. His profound chi started to move again. Releasing the soul consciousness, Shi Yin silently watched the senior man in front of him and his daughter ECU by. His soul consciousness approached that elder but seemed to be prevented by an invisible power. On the contrary, it wasn't hindered too much when it came closer to ECU by. The sky realm. Shi Yin displayed terrible fear on his face and almost screamed out after his soul consciousness circled ECU by one round. This woman was still very young, but she was already at the sky realm. If her cultivation base was the sky realm, what about the senior man? "Don't think too much. You will not be able to escape from here," the old man said with an indifferent face. "First, tell me how you came here. Before entering the desert, where did you go? Can you go back through the old route? If you can do it, I will not make it hard on you and will spare your life." "I can't find the way to go back. Sorry. Although I also want to leave, there is no way indeed." Shi Yin shook his head reluctantly. The old man raised his eyebrows and seemed to consider something. However, at this moment, a guy hurriedly came in the hall. After kowtowing, he respectfully said, "Great master, we have just discovered other warriors, but the number is almost 100 this time." Shi Yin's pupil instantly shrank. He knew for sure that they were Chao Jilan and her fellow warriors. Chapter 239. The Sound Beast Mountain. Your people? The demeanor on the old man's face did not change. He seriously sat still, slightly knitting his eyebrows, curiously looking at Shi Yin. "Have those people come here together with you?" Shi Yin shook his head and said, "Not with me, but I know them. They are my enemies, and they have been chasing me here since I was in the outside world. I'm their target." "Is their hatred of you that much?" Siyubai was curious. "Hundreds of warriors have been chasing after you here to kill you. After all, what did you do?" Shi Yin forced a miserable smile. "Nothing. No matter what their target was, everyone had to act moderately in the demonic sound clan's territory." The old man frowned and said, "Yifeng, go arrest them now. Bring some people with you. Don't let them escape." A skinny guy at the Nirvana realm nodded his head, indicating his obedience, and quickly left. "Okay, let's continue where we left off." The old man calmly took one sip of tea. "The outside world, what is the situation now? What is the name of your area? Is there anything special there?" "The outside world? I came here from the endless sea through the heaven gate at the sky sea. At the endless sea, many different forces of humankind warriors have been competing to dominate the areas with full of resources." After contemplating for a while, Shi Yin explained the senior man of the demonic sound clan a little of what he knew about the endless sea. The old man listened to Shi Yin without saying anything. "Father, the endless sea doesn't seem to be our ancient land?" After thinking for a while, she couldn't help but speak up. "No, it is not our ancient land. But don't worry. When we reach the outside world, we will find our ancient land." The elder nodded his head. If those humankind warriors can come here, it means that the formation technique has recently eased off a little bit. It's time to talk to the Wings race. The Wings race has always been looking for a way to get out of here, but they are not friendly with us. They even have attacked us recently. Father, you want to make contact with the Wings race? But didn't seem to agree with him. The Wings race has evil intentions. They want to get out of here and conquer the outside world. Once they leave this place, it would not be a good thing for the outside world. After a few years of recuperating, the Wings race's strength has improved a lot. The reason we have been deported here is that we had cooperated with the Wings race. I know the Wings race's bad ambition, but with the demonic Sound Clan's ability alone, I am afraid we cannot leave here. The senior man convinced the girl. Only if the two tribes can cooperate can we get out of here. Otherwise, we may be trapped here forever. Don't worry. Before talking to the Wings race, I will ask other leaders for more information. If everything is fine, I will contact the Wings race. Yin still kept silent but was surprised. According to the conversation between the old man and the girl named Bai, he knew that besides the demonic Sound Clan, there was also another tribe called the Wings race. These two big tribes might have been from the Neolithic Age, and no one knew the reason that had led to their deportation and confinement here. The demonic Sound Clan and the Wings race should have belonged to the Grace mainland before. Moreover, the ability of these two tribes should be very mighty. Although they had been deported here for many years, they still preserved the intention of breaking out to go back to the Grace mainland, their ancient land. As the formation technique in the soul consciousness had been deactivated, Yin could inaudibly observe around now, realizing that inside of the hall, there were more than 10 Nirvana Realm and the Sky Realm warriors. The senior man's cultivation base should be at the God Realm. The senior man seemed to be one of the leaders of the demonic Sound Clan. According to him, there were also other leaders. If they also had the same cultivation base as he did, the demonic Sound Clan's strength could easily defeat any forces of the Endless Sea. The demonic Sound Clan was terrifying already, but they seemed to be very cautious when talking about the Wings race. The Wings race's strength appeared to be even stronger than the demonic Sound Clan's. If this was the truth, once the demonic Sound Clan and the Wings race cooperated to escape from this place, going to the Endless Sea, he couldn't imagine what problem they would bring to the Endless Sea. You want to go back to the Grace mainland? As different thoughts kept popping up in his mind, Yin suddenly came up with an idea and spoke up. That is right. We don't want to live here. We hope to go back to our ancestry land. It has been almost 10,000 years since we had been deported. We want to know how our ancestry land looks like. We don't originally belong to this place. Bai's eyes were clear and anxious. Our ancestry land. We miss our ancestry land. There were the three gods of the sun, the moon, and the star, big oceans, the scenes that we have never seen before. The Endless Sea is not peaceful at this time. It may be not a good time to go back there now. Yin said with a low voice. Tell me more. The old man said with a serious face. Because the demon dwellers of the fourth demon area and the dark dwellers of the netherworld may invade the Endless Sea. Once they arrive the Endless Sea, it should be a disaster for all the tribes living there. If you go back this time, you will face the demon dwellers and the dark dwellers. After thinking for a while, Yin decided to tell them about the current situation. He didn't know anything about the demonic Sound Clan or the Wings race, nor was he sure that if the return of these two tribes to the Endless Sea was a good or bad thing for the Endless Sea. Telling them about the demon dwellers and the dark dwellers, Yin wanted to see their attitude. The demon dwellers and the dark dwellers. When the old man heard of these two pagan tribes, his face changed dramatically. He suddenly said after a while, No worries. We only want to go back to our ancestry land. We will not stay in the Endless Sea for long, nor will we get into any troubles with them. The demon dwellers and the dark dwellers. Father, what is the origin of these two pagan tribes? Bai asked with curiosity. I will tell you later. The old man shook his head and explained nothing more. However, his ashy gray eyes flared up the complicated light. It seemed that the names of demon dwellers and dark dwellers had called up something. A subtle smile beamed out from the corner of his mouth. His face looked very strange. As the old man stopped asking questions, Shi Yin also kept silent and secretly released his soul consciousness to observe outside the hall, wanting to leave this place. However, the lava stone in this hall seemed to have the mighty power that prevented his soul consciousness from going through it. His soul consciousness encountered a big hindrance when it was on the way flying out. Shi Yin reluctantly gave up and quietly looked at the old man. Yifeng came back after having left for a while. After kowtowing, he respectfully said, "Great Master, we were a little bit late. Yimeng has arrested all of the human warriors." Yimeng. The senior man raised his eyebrows and calmly said, "I am afraid those people are done. Several human warriors came here and killed Yimeng's son a few years ago. Although he tortured those guys for long periods, his animosity against human warriors never ends. As he has arrested many warriors this time, he might have enough to play with for a long time." A strange light flared up and instantly disappeared in Shi Yan's eyes. "You should be jubilant because Yimeng has arrested your enemies while you are here." He coldly looked at Shi Yan. "Our prejudice towards the humankind is not as profound as Yimeng's. I will not treat you bad as long as you honestly cooperate with me. Not only can I let you free, but also give you some things that you cannot find from the outside world." "I will do my best." Shi Yan smiled and said, "I don't want to die. I only want to live well. However, my strength is limited. I am not sure if I can be much of help." "There is an intense burning fire's movement inside your body. Can you use that burning fire power?" The senior man suddenly said. "The burning fires has tempered my body, and that is how I have the power of the burning fires. I think I can use a part of it, but I am not confident it will be as much as you expect." "See you bye. You and he go to the Sound Beast Mountain to see if you can catch more of the Sound Beast's heads with the burning fire's power in his body." After thinking for a while, the old man looked at his daughter and assigned a mission for her. As Kaba's people often wandered around the Sound Beast Mountain recently, the Sound Beasts do not dare to take risks to expose themselves. "I don't know if we can get more of them." See you by mumbled to herself, and then slowly walked towards Shi Yin, throwing a sharp glance at him, speaking, "Outsider, follow me. If you can help me catch some Sound Beasts' heads, maybe I will feel better and let you free." Shi Yin knitted his eyebrows. Under the scrutinized look of the old man, he said nothing, bowing his head and following Siyu by to go outside. After crossing a very long corridor, Shi Yin saw the bright sky again eventually. He was standing on a pile of stones near a 500-meter-high architectural building. In his view, there were many other 10-meter-high ancient stone structures nearby. In a further distance, another two mighty 500-meter-high imposing ancient structures like the immeasurably magnificent and splendid mountains in the sky that could stir people's eyesight. This place was a great ancient stone city. Among these structures, the lowest one was tens of meters high, covering thousands of square meters. The biggest one was similar to the one he was standing on, which was hundreds of meters high and covered about tens of thousands square meters. It was even bigger than the biggest one he had seen in the outside world, and it was unknown how it had been built. In this giant stone ancient city, everyone in the demonic Sound clan looked very pale with their miasmatic spirits and unusual physical strength. They seemed to be very light and not to be restricted by the limit of realms. Even the Earth Realm or the Nirvana Realm warriors could freely fly around in the city. It was very strange. A dense mist gray-white fog covered the entire ancient city. There should be some formation technique inside that mist to protect the city. The dense sky and earth spiritual aura overflow every corner of the city. Although the sky and earth aura here was not as good as the one in the Immortal Island, it was still superb compared with other places of the Endless Sea and enough for the warriors to use for their cultivation. Shi Yin. A voice suddenly came up from a distance. That was Chao Zilan's voice. Shi Yan's face slightly changed. He looked toward the direction where the voice resounded. In the distance, he saw a big wooden cage being pulled up to the sky by some strange beasts' heads. These beasts had small thin wings like a layer of flesh. Their bodies had adamant miasmatic power which was somehow similar to that of the demonic Sound clan's pagans. The beasts spread their 5 or 6 meter wide wings like falcons. Their entire bodies were turquoise and had moving lights. The top of the wooden cage, which had pulled up by the beasts, was fully covered by creepers. Those vines, like spiritual snakes, wrapped around the wooden cage, radiating a green ray of light and creating a miraculous constraint binding the wooden cage. Inside the wooden cage, Chao Zhilan, Chu Yanqing, Gu Linglong, Panja, and a flock of other warriors were all restricted by a formation technique. They all looked like slaves with dark faces in a cage. They seemed to suffer a lot of torture that they became honestly obedient without daring to resist. Some guys with gloomy, pale faces and dark green armors were riding those beasts, gathering and discussing with each other in a low tone. Some of them turned their heads around, coldly glancing at Chao Zhilan when they heard her scream. She looked towards Shi Yan's direction with a slight happiness in her eyes. Those guys pulled up the wooden cage away, seemingly wanting to change the direction. Although Chao Zhilan and the others were his opponents, they all came here from the outside world. However, Yimeng has captured and confined them like livestock and would soon torture them to death. He could not feel good looking at them. "See you, Bai. You have captured this human being?" A guy of the demonic sound clan who was in the lead suddenly raised his hand, signaling the beasts to stop. He then gently flew over, hovering about in the air while coldly looking at Shi Yan. "See you, Bai" slightly frowned and then calmly said, "Yaji, you are quick. You have captured those outsiders just in a short while. If I knew that there were more than one person, you wouldn't have been able to reap such a big spoil." The guy dragged a strange smile out of his mouth and said, "I was just lucky. While I was wandering outside, I detected these outsiders and easily captured them. Ha ha ha. The cultivation base of some of them are not bad, but their souls are too weak compared to mine." "See you, Bai" quickly said, "Regarding souls, the demonic sound clan has the God-given advantage. Those aliens obviously cannot be compared to us. If you have already captured them, you should leave soon. Why do you need to waste your time with me?" "How can talking to you be a waste of time?" Yaji smiled. As seeing no reaction from Cu Bai, he pointed to Shi Yan and said, "I am also interested in that guy. Cu Bai, say a price. I pay her to take him. What do you think?" While Yaji was talking, his strange eyes fixed on Shi Yan's body. A flow of miraculous soul vibration like a thin fiber of soul explored and went into Shi Yan's head, intruding his sea of consciousness, taking the secret life in his mind. Shi Yan's face changed dramatically. When he was about to gather his forces to resist this soul vibration, another flow of soul vibration like a cold wind zoomed over, quickly covering his head. Yaji's soul power was instantly wiped out completely, disappearing from his head without leaving a trace. "This guy belongs to me. Without my consent, no one can touch his soul." Cu Bai's clear, cold voice rose up. She displeasingly stared at Yaji. "You can torture those in the cage however you want, but you are not allowed to touch mine. Otherwise, don't blame me for treating you badly." "I can bargain." Yaji forced a smile. "I will pay you a very good price for this guy. Is it okay? You have already captured many warriors. Why do you still want him?" Cu Bai felt a bit strange when listening to what he said. "You already have many. Why him?" "Ha ha ha, I see it's useful." Yaji thought for a while and said, "Cu Bai, if you are interested in humankind warriors, we can exchange." Those warriors over there, except the 3 ladies, I can trade any one of the rest, even 2 of them. What do you think?" "Why must you have him?" Cu Bai was surprised, confusingly looking at Yaji and then at Shi Yan. "Is he special?" "Very special." Yaji nodded his head. "So, do you want to exchange or not?" "No." Cu Bai harumphed. She thought for a while before grabbing Shi Yan's shoulder, flying away and speaking at the same time. "This guy is useful. I do not want to give him to you now. Wait until I feel that he is not useful anymore, then I might sell him to you." "Cu Bai, be careful. He is very dangerous." Yaji warned her from a distance. "Dangerous?" Cu Bai uttered a word with despise, coldly glancing at Shi Yan. She continued, "You should better be honestly obedient. Otherwise, I will make your soul disappear in a second. Maybe you don't know yet, but it's not hard for the demonic sound clan to ruin your humankind." "Yeah, I know your soul competency went beyond that of the human warriors. Shi Yan's face remained unchanged. Your physical strength is very unusual, and the brain is also peculiar. They are very suitable for soul cultivation. Your soul is very powerful. It can be compared with the one of the Sky Realm warrior, but your body, on the contrary, is not as strong as a human Sky Realm warrior. However, you still can use your powerful soul to dominate and easily destroy my sea of consciousness. Isn't that so? Shi Yan didn't say anything since he got out of the ancient city with ECU Bai, but it didn't mean that he knew nothing. He had been quietly observing the demonic sound clan for a while, realizing that all of the demonic sound clan's people were very powerful. Regarding soul cultivation, the demonic sound clan's people were much stronger than many of the humankind warriors. Their knowledge of soul was much more profound than that of the humankind warriors. However, because of their particular physical structure, they looked very feeble. Not to mention Shi Yan's body, their bodies were much weaker than those of the ordinary humankind warriors. Not only this, the profound qi in their bodies were also peculiar. Their profound qi did not converge in one place. It spread out everywhere inside the body. The nerves and veins were also fragile and narrow, preventing them from receiving too much of the profound qi. After observing in silence for a while, Shi Yan realized that the intensity of the woman's soul had reached the sky realm, and her subtle body contained a lot of profound qi. However, her profound qi could not be more than his because of her weak body and narrow veins. Her body strength should also be limited. If she did not rely on the God-given soul advantage, she might have been unable to defeat an ordinary Earth Realm warrior. Thanks to the strong strength of the Sea of Consciousness, Shi Yan gradually understood everything. You can see through many things in such a short time? Siyu Bai was terrified. A shocking look appeared on her face. She gazed at Shi Yan for a moment and then said, I should have placed more soul formation techniques on you. Don't. I am very savvy. I know that your soul power is very vigorous. If I do something wrong, you can easily recognize it in this short distance. You can use your soul to kill me easily before I can do anything. Therefore, I will not do anything stupid, so you should not waste too much of your power. Don't worry, I will try my best for you. Shi Yan quickly shouted. You have such a sweet mouth. Siyu Bai's beautiful eyes stared at Shi Yan and firmly nodded her head. You are very smart, smarter than many of the demonic Sound Clan's people. Moreover, although you are only at Earth Realm, you've already possessed the Sea of Consciousness. You are not bad at all. You should have some secrets. Otherwise, Yaji shouldn't be interested in you like this. After taking a big breath of air, Siyu Bai said, Maybe I should analyze your soul, seizing everything inside of your head to know everything hidden there. There is nothing you can hide. I will know all your secrets. Although this might get me seriously injured, I am still really excited about doing it. Shi Yan slightly shivered. His eyes shot out a cold ray of light. He seemed to be ready to risk his life. I already knew that you were very cunning. Don't think you can take anything from me. Right now, I just don't want to kill you yet. If you dare to do anything stupid, you will know the consequence. Siyu Bai's face coldly darkened, but a hesitating look appeared on her face. If you can help me catch the sound beasts at the 5th or 6th level, I will set you free. Otherwise, I will detain you and give you to Yaji. Sound beasts? Aren't they beasts? The sound beasts are one kind of beasts. They only live in the Sound Beast Mountain where the miasmatic aura is incredibly dense. The sound beasts are made from Een. Their demons' crystal pearls also have the icy Een trait. They are very useful for us. Our cultivation will be prosperous if we can have these demons' crystal pearls. The Sound Beast Mountain has the ancient thunder formation, which discharge lightning. The sound beasts do not have any big problem if being hit by lightning. The demonic Sound Clan, on the other hand, is naturally afraid of lightning, so we cannot go any further into the Sound Beast Mountain, except that we can only stay outside the mountain and catch the sound beasts that venture out. How is it useful with my help? The sound beast trait is icy Een, and their souls are also unique. It is not easy for the demonic Sound Clan to use our soul advantage to deal with them. To catch them, we also need to make use of the direct attacking weapons. However, Once the sound beast cannot win, they will quickly retrieve and hide inside of the sound beast mountain. Thus, we cannot do anything. The sound beasts had one weakness. They are afraid of the burning fires. If you can use the burning fires, it is easier to catch them. Of course, we have to see if your burning fires are useful or not. Weak burning fires cannot affect the sound beasts. Okay, I understand. I will help you arrest the sound beasts. Our deal is 10 of the 5th or 6th level sound beasts. Is it okay? If you can help me capture 10 of the 5th or 6th level sound beasts, I will set you free. If you can capture more, I can buy them at a reasonable price. The demon's crystal pearls of the sound beasts are very treasurable. You can use them to exchange for any essential things that you want. Can I exchange for slaves? Anything? Good. Maybe I will use some demon's crystal pearls of the sound beasts to exchange for some female slaves. Shi Yin thought about Chao Zhilan, Gu Linglong, and Chu Yanqing, the 3 ladies who were being confined by Yi. Rotten. Seeing the lust in Shi Yan's eyes, Yu Bai couldn't help but curse. Human beings, no one is good indeed. My father was right. I assume that the demonic sound clan's people have a strong prejudice against human beings. Humankind is cruel. If it were not because of humankind, we wouldn't have been deported to this place. Because of you, we all could not return to our ancestry land, being forced to stay here forever where there aren't the 3 gods of the sun, the moon, and the star. Yu Bai coldly said. Why were you deported to this place? They wouldn't do it without any reasons. Shut up. Yu Bai jangled. Her beautiful face suddenly sharpened. Shi Yin got surprised and said no more. He was afraid that Yu Bai would not be able to control herself and take actions with him. After having got out of the giant stone ancient city and crossing the extensive forest for a long time, a mighty 10,000-meter high mountain struck his eyes. The mighty, imposing mountain dominated the skyline. Masses of white clouds hovered around in the middle of the mountain flank. The mountain peak pierced straight up into the sky. Each striking lightning like a giant dragon minced around the giant mountain, discharging powerful electric streams. On the giant mountain, ancient trees and deep black caves intensely scattered around the mountain cliffs. Many big sound beasts appeared, howling from the inside of the caves. The howls had a strange, powerful energy that terrified people. When these howls reverberated, the vibrations churned up in Shi Yan's sea of consciousness. His soul consciousness was not stable either. The sky and earth aura gathered and created the sound beasts. Their soul is also very particular. Thus, their howls can badly hurt the ordinary warriors. However, you don't seem to be affected by the howls. You are an ordinary person indeed. So I don't need to worry too much. Sending the soul protection forces to your head has decreased my energy. Yu Bai soon relaxed her vigilance. She and Shi Yin were standing shoulder to shoulder on a big long branch of an ancient tree. He raised her head looking toward the sound beast mountain in front of them and asked, "What is the level of the strongest sound beast of the sound beast mountain?" Shi Yin looked ahead. As his sea of consciousness was agitated, and he couldn't release soul consciousness, it was hard for him to recognize the real strength of all the sound beasts in the sound beast mountain. The strongest sound beast, Yu Bai shook her head. Because of lightning, the demonic sound clan cannot intrude inside. So we don't know what is the level of the strongest sound beast is. The Wings race used to invade the sound beast mountain, but none of them have ever got out alive. You and the Wings race have always been fighting. Almost. The Wings race people live just behind the sound beast mountain. They consider themselves to be the true lords of this land. They want to rule the demonic sound clan. In recent years, the Wings race strength has been stronger than ours. If it isn't because that the Wings race people have conflicts with each other, we should have become their slaves. Yu Bai dispiritedly replied. The Wings race. Shi Yin thought for a moment. You have God-given soul advantages, and you can easily destroy our souls, but you cannot deal with the Wings race. The Wings race is more dangerous than humankind. No human being can compare with their solid physical body. Although the Wings race's soul is not as good as the humankind's, they still have many ways to protect their soul from being violated. Humankind absolutely cannot compare with them. See you by coldly said, "Oe oe, boo-hoo boo-hoo." A strange noise like a baby crying came out from one cave on the Sound Beast Mountain. When that peculiar crying resounded, inside of that cave instantly emitted many flows of the graying aura. This gray miasmatic aura spread out violently and quickly, covering the entire small area in just a blink. A bunch of large figures was dancing in the middle of the gray aura, coming down the Sound Beast Mountain together with the gray aura, walking towards an icy lake in the distance. Child Devil, Cu Bai's face changed dramatically. Her subtle body slightly shivered while she was staring at the place where the gray aura gathered. She said in fear, "This thing shouldn't appear at this time of the year. Is the defensive formation weakening? Irrational. Really irrational. No, we might have to cancel our plan now." Turning around, Cu Bai held Shi Yin with one hand and hurriedly said, "We should leave now. Forget this time. I have to inform my clan about the Child Devil." "Are you sure we will be able to escape?" Shi Yan's eyes slightly changed while he pointed towards something ahead. "That thing seems to have detected us already. They started changing the direction?" "What?" Cu Bai shouted in panic. Her white face got chalky. Chapter 240. Everything has its conqueror. Each long, skinny figure zoomed through the gray miasmatic aura, quickly descending as if they wanted to wrap and tie Shi Yin and Cu Bai up tightly. Many long, thin figures appeared more and more clearly inside that fuzzy aura. They were a particular kind of beasts with a human child face, a dreary pale look, and a mouth full of fangs. This creature was 3 meters tall with a sturdy body, a white childlike face, and long fangs. It looked terribly scary. The Child Devil's body projected a powerful miasmatic aura. The soul of this creature was unique. There seemed to have a particular layer of flesh in their brain to prevent any soul attacks. Their movement was very fast. With a slight sway, they were in the air plunging more than 10 zhongs already. 3 Child Devils appeared in a short moment, showing their fangs and claws, closely approaching Shi Yin and Cu Bai below. Although Cu Bai's soul could be as powerful as a Sky Realm warrior's, it was still hard for her to release the soul attacks when facing with the Child Devils. Thus, she could do nothing but grab Shi Yin, hurriedly leaving this place. "We cannot leave. Your speed is fast, but apparently not as fast as those strange beasts." Shi Yin stood motionlessly, seeming to be unexpectedly conscious. According to him, although those Child Devils were powerful, they still had their weaknesses. Although the icy aura on their bodies was very mighty, and their living power was very powerful, they should be at the 5th or 6th level at most, just equivalent to the Earth Realm or Nirvana Realm warriors. Shi Yin was not afraid of the beasts at the level. "Boo-hoo!" The 3 Child Devils cried out like babies. Their white fangs quickly became sharper and longer. Red blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. That looked terribly horrible. Child Devils are not afraid of the demonic Sound Clan souls. They are our mortal enemy. When they are out, we have to hide inside of the ancient city. Cu Bai's face was not rubicund, but turning to white pale. The 3 Child Devils had already been not far from him, separating and besieging Shi Yin and Cu Bai. The Child Devils were flying around, dragging flows of bleary smoke. Their speed was extremely fast. Even Shi Yan's eyes could not follow their figures. He could only rely on his soul consciousness to identify their direction. Perhaps because the 3 demon children could have realized the strong burning fires inside Shi Yin, they hadn't killed Shi Yin and Cu Bai yet, only besieging them and seeming to wait for something. Cu Bai was scared of the gaze of the deep blue eyes of the 3 Child Devils. Her beautiful face was full of fear. Her behavior now was entirely different from the way she had treated Shi Yin earlier. She started being terrified. "Don't worry. Have you forgotten why you and I come here? These 3 Child Devils should be the sound beasts at the 5th level. The demonic Sound Clan cannot deal with them, but I can." Shi Yan's eyes were cold. He didn't seem to be frightened when facing these 3 Child Devils. "Leave them to me." Shriek, shriek. 3 Child Devils kept shrieking and crying non-stop. Some responding sounds sometimes reverberated from a cave somewhere on the Sound Beast Mountain not far from their current place. They are calling for more sound beasts to come. Cu suddenly felt unsafe. The defensive formation around the Sound Beast Mountain is decreasing. I feel that a major upheaval is going to happen. No, we have to go back to the ancient city immediately. The city has all kinds of the defensive formations that can prevent the sound beasts from intruding. I want to finish my promise earlier. Shi Yin frowned. Don't use any soul attacks on me. I take actions now. Upon these words, Shi Yin immediately communicated with the earth flame in the blood vein ring. Many flows of the burning fires quickly spread out from the blood vein ring and instantly rolled into Shi Yan's body. After a moment, Shi Yan's body became blazing red, inflaming formidably. As the earth flame had devoured the sun power of the sun-refined spirit, it had quickly evolved. Its intelligence had recently increased. Its burning fires were stronger than what Shi Yin had expected. It had almost gained enough power to be able to compete with the icy power of the ice-cold flame. Having been burnt by the sun flames, Shi Yan's body had miraculously transformed, being able to receive more power of the earth flame. All the nerves and veins in his body completely absorbed this power from the earth flame. He felt warmer and less painful than when his system had been burnt. His consciousness slightly flickered. Flames suddenly flew out from Shi Yan's body, instantly gathering and turning into fire clouds expanding next to Shi Yan. Each group of fire clouds contained Shi Yan's consciousness, quickly dashing toward the three child devils and wrapping them. Screech, screech, screech. Three child devils made strange, ear-piercing shrieks. Seeing the burning fires coming, they hastily ran away with fear in their dark blue eyes. Stay, Shi Yan shouted while his spirits had some transformations again. The fire clouds abruptly exploded, turning into countless fire points of light, covering the entire area. The fire points of light were intense and dense like drizzling rain, covering every corner of this area. After the explosion, the number of the fire points of light had compensated for their moderate power, leaving the three child devils with no place to hide. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. White smoke instantly rose up as soon as the fire points of light hit the three child devils' bodies. The fire points of light were like the strongest acid in the world, rotting their bodies in a blink because their bodies were made of the icy miasmatic aura. As soon as the fire points of light touched the child devils, they eroded the child devils' bodies, creating big holes immediately. Those fire points of light of the earth flame conquered these child devils' bodies. The fire points of light scattered everywhere in the sky. The three child devils cried out terribly while their bodies smoked. Thus, their movements were also getting much slower. The demon's crystal pearls of these three child devils are robust enough? Shi Yin turned his head towards Cu Bai and asked. She avoided his look and moved further away from him. She nodded and responded him with the shock remaining on her face. They are all solid. The heaven flame. That is the forces of the heaven flame. Confusion waves surged up in Cu Bai's mind. Her clear eyes looked fearful. She started to be scared of Shi Yin. She knew how dangerous the child devils were. Although they were one kind of the sound beasts, they were immune from the burning fires. As they were not scared of being hit by the ordinary burning fires, they kept attacking and slaughtering the demonic Sound Clan's people. However, Shi Yan's fire points of light could erode the child devils' bodies once the fires touched them and almost crushed them to ashes. What kind of forces was this? Only the nemesis of the sound beasts in the legend, the power of the heaven flame, was capable of destroying them. Cu Bai had never seen the heaven flame. She learned from her father the legend about the heaven flame conquering the sound beasts. The scorching heaven flame was the genuine terrifying conqueror of the sound beasts. To the demonic Sound Clan, wasn't this the most frightening thing? The demonic Sound Clan's physical bodies had the icy miasmatic trait. Although their souls were very powerful, once the scorching heaven flame touched them, the result was not better than what the sound beasts had to suffer. In other words, if the fire points of light from Shi Yan's body hit on her body, she would quickly erode like those child devils. The miasmatic aura on the demonic Sound Clan's body could not prevent it from being burnt by the heaven flame. If the demonic Sound Clan did not have the God-given advantage of souls, and if Yin was not afraid of the demonic Sound Clan's confinement, he alone, together with that heaven flame's power in his body, could lay down the law and rule the root in the ancient city. He could even take advantage of the heaven flame's power to slaughter the whole demonic Sound Clan. Except if the demonic Sound Clan had an icy secret treasure, they could use it to resist the heaven flame's attack. Other than that, their bodies would evaporate like steam under the heaven flame's power. By felt chilled to the bone. When By saw Yin control the power of the earth flame to burn the 3 child devils, making them shrieking terribly, her eyes flared up a strange ray of light. A thought came up in her mind. Should she kill him right now? Her eyes kept flickering. She felt that killing Yin now was the best decision. Otherwise, if Yin could find out a way to not be afraid of the demonic Sound Clan soul attacks, his existence would be a nightmare for the demonic Sound Clan. Very simple. When her mind was still in chaos with many thoughts, Yin had already handled the 3 child devils. 3 blue demons' crystal pearls were hovering about in the air. His profound chi then quickly pulled down the 3 demons' crystal pearls into his hand. Here, 3 demons' crystal pearls for you. Don't worry. I will find enough demons' crystal pearls. Yin forced a smile. When he saw Bai's panic face, he said, "This world is very mysterious. The demonic Sound Clan with the profound soul competency can easily kill me, but the child devils are your nemesis who can easily tear you down into pieces. Meanwhile, I am the nemesis of the child devils, using the burning fire's power to kill them quickly. Everything has its conqueror. Isn't that the law of nature?" Bai's face was confused. She stretched out her hand to take the 3 blue demons' crystal pearls and said, "These 3 demons' crystal pearls of the child devils are more valuable than the ones of the other sound beasts. The child devils contain miasmatic aura and spirits which are very useful for our cultivation. If relying only on the demonic Sound Clan's strength alone, there is no way to collect the demons' crystal pearls. Only the Wings race can hunt the child devils down. They will use the demons' crystal pearls of the child devils to exchange for some valuable things of the demonic Sound Clan. I will find enough demons' crystal pearls for you." Yin slightly knitted his eyebrows. "You only need to keep your promise." Being confined is not something fun and comfortable, but I am a man of my words." "Do you hate us?" Bai quickly asked. Chapter 241. Birdman. Yin was surprised, knitting his brows and thinking. Bai slightly gritted her teeth and then coldly said, "If I let you free, will you find me and take revenge in the future? I have captured you and used your freedom to force you in catching the beasts for me. Will you hate me?" "Hate you?" Yin was astonished. He contemplated for a while before bursting into laughter, shaking his head. "Not that much of hatred. I am only a little discontented. If you treated me friendly at the beginning instead of threatening, I think I would still be happy to help you catch more sound beasts." Bai's eyes glowed, staring at Yin without blinking, seemingly wanting to see through his real thought. Yin's eyes beamed out an innocent look. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Under her gaze, he didn't seem to be startled. He shrugged and calmly said, "If you fraternize with me, we can become friends." I am human, and you are pagan of the demonic Sound Clan. Although it is the pagan race, it is okay for me. I am Bai, Bai, glad to know you. I hope you can consider me a friend." Bai thought for a while before comfortably stretching her white hand towards Yin and sincerely saying, "Sorry for my rude behavior earlier. I hope that you can forget it. Now, we shall start over again." Yin, stretching his big hand and gently holding Bai's jade-like hand, Yin gave out a broad smile. "That is very good. Thank you," Bai cheerfully said. "Without your help, I think those child devils would have devoured me." After a certain time, many child devils go out from the Sound Beast Mountain, considering pagans their praise. It is like when we hunt the sound beasts down, the child devils chase us, devouring us so that they can progress faster and stronger. Yin was frightened. The child devils are the demonic sound clan's natural enemy. The child devils have been evolving non-stop, and thus they have become terrifying. They are not afraid of our clan's soul attacks and able to tear our bodies apart into pieces. ECU was still frightened. Each time the child devils go out of the Sound Beast Mountain, the demonic sound clan's people have to stay inside of the castle without daring to take one step outside. My father told me that the child devils, and we both have been deported to this place. The people expelling us here have sent the child devils together with us because they were scared of the demonic sound clan. Arg, I did not know anything about the story of your demonic sound clan before. I don't want to judge anything. Shi Yin was silent for a moment before speaking. But I have no prejudice against the demonic sound clan. I treat everyone the same way, either pagan race or humankind. If people treat me well, I will treat them the same way. If not, I will give them a hard time. It is my most basic human behavior. I know you also want to leave this place. That is also my purpose. Thus, I hope we can get along well together in the coming days to find out a way to get out of here. My father is one of the leaders of the ancient city. The demonic sound clan's people are very unfriendly with humankind. You probably recognize this already. When you are still here, I will treat you like a servant so that others will not pay attention to you. I hope you understand. ECU said with sincerity. I understand. Although Shi Yin did not like it, there wasn't anything else that he could do. Thus, he reluctantly nodded his head. One more thing. I hope that you use just a small part of the Heaven Flame's forces. It is better not to let other people of the demonic sound clan see it. Otherwise, I am afraid everyone will disturb you. ECU softly said, to be honest, I had wanted to kill you earlier. Your ability to emit the sun power is the sound beast's disaster. It is also the same for our bodies. We cannot bear being burnt by the sun power. Shi Yan's body was agitated. Do you understand how dangerous it is? Taking a deep breath, Shi Yin nodded his head and said, I got it. If you do not restrict my soul, you are afraid that I can use the heaven flame to kill all of you. Is it right? ECU smiled agonizingly and nodded. Yes, it is. So, if you let someone know about this power of yours, they will not hesitate to kill you right away. Because once you progress to the point where you are not afraid of our soul attack, your threat is even more terrible than that of the Wings race. Anyway, this place does not have any particular icy weapons to prevent the Heaven Flame attack. It is also the reason we have to return to our ancestry land. It has been said that there is a secret weapon in our ancestry land that can help the demonic sound clan not be scared of the power of the burning fires nor the child devil's carnage. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Flows of gray smoke flew out one after one from inside of the Sound Beast Mountain. When the gray aura flooded the area, many strange sound beasts stormed out from the mountain. There was variety in the appearances of the beasts. Some were like apes with 2 curved horns on their head. Some were like tigans. Some were like the scale amor beasts. A bunch of them had different shapes with furious, icy auras on their bodies. They should be the sound beasts dwelled inside of the Sound Beast Mountain. Also excellent resources for the cultivation of the demonic sound clan's people. My God, so many sound beasts are coming out. The formation technique seems to have weakened a lot. ECU fearfully screamed out loud. Not good. The commotions of those sound beasts are too big, and it will disturb the Wings race for sure. Perhaps they are on the way here. No, I have to go back to inform my father about this. Those sound beasts do not dare to come here. Shi Yin faintly smiled. Let me retrieve the Heaven Flame first. If the Heaven Flame's aura is still there, those sound beasts will not act recklessly. If we want to hunt more sound beasts, we should pretend a little bit like this so that they will take the bait. Clouds of burning fires turned into many flows of light going into the blood vein ring from every corner and were retrieved by the earth flame. The burning fire's power on Shi Yan's body also went back into the blood vein ring. His glowing red body quickly recovered and regained its normal state. Not long after that, there were no burning fires around Shi Yin anymore. A group of the sound beasts on the flank of the Sound Beast Mountain was strangely staring at Shi Yin, but they hesitated to move forward and seemed to know that it wasn't easy to bully Shi Yin. Lightning struck down around the Sound Beast Mountain. It was unknown why the lightning appeared to get weaker, The giant dragon-sized lightning now gradually became as small as an arm. The formation technique kept getting weaker. ECU-Bai was very astonished. Abnormal, really strange. Something strange is happening apparently. If not, the Sound Beast Mountain cannot be this weird. Shriek, shriek, shriek. A shrieking sound echoed from the left of the Sound Beast Mountain. Not long after that, many black points appeared on the left of the Sound Beast Mountain. Birdman. Yin squinted to have a careful look, and he suddenly screamed out in fear. No. Is this the wings race that you have described? A bunch of black points in a distance looked like humankind with wings. The differences between them and the others were the wings growing from their backs and a sturdy body shape. 5 guys of the wings race had wicked appearances, hooked nose, and cold eyes. They flapped their wings flying out from behind the Sound Beast Mountain towards Yan's place very fast. They are the wings race's people. ECU-Bai nodded with her tightly knitted eyebrows. Perhaps the commotions of the Sound Beasts have disturbed the wings race. If even they got astounded, I think the people in the ancient city might also know about this already. Perhaps they are on their way to come here. 5 men of the wings race flapped their gray wings, quickly zooming to Yan's location. In a short moment, the 5 men of the wings race arrived in front of Yan. They stayed away in the distance, throwing a sharp glance at Yan. Their cold eyes were even more freezing. One of the guys in the lead unfriendly looked at Yan with a bitter smile and said, "Humankind, unexpectedly, all of these 5 men of the wings race were at the Earth realm. Their gray wings emitted spiritual powers. Their soul competency seemed feeble. Even their spiritual power had not formed yet. They apparently couldn't confine Yan's sea of consciousness in just a blink like demonic Sound Clan had done. However, the brain structure of the wings race was very special, and it seemed to be able to prevent the invasion of the spiritual powers like a soul isolator. Yan's soul consciousness could not intrude into their brains. Perhaps the reason that the wings race's people encountered difficulties in cultivating their soul power should be related to their particular brain structure. The particular brain structure gave them mighty protection forces that could resist the soul attack of the demonic Sound Clan, but it also limited them from improving their soul cultivation. What about the humankind? Yin looked calm, dragging a smile out of the corner of his mouth. Yin was honestly obedient in front of the demonic Sound Clan because they could confine and control his soul. However, the wings race was nothing to Yin, although they had a sturdy body and a strong protection against the soul attack, as well as being the enemy of the demonic Sound Clan. With the same Earth Realm cultivation base, without using the power of the ice-cold flame and the earth flame, Yin was confident to be able to defeat those 5 guys. I hate humankind. The man of the wings race forced a cold smile and then asked, "Answer me, how did you come here? How many of your fellows are there? If you don't tell me, I will let you know that venturing into the wings race's territory is a fearful thing." When did this place become the wings race's territory? ECU-Bai coldly shouted. Ha ha ha, even the ancient city of the demonic Sound Clan belongs to the wings race's territory. Obviously, this place is not an exception. The guy looked arrogant. Are you ECU-Bai? You wait and see. The wings race will conquer the demonic Sound Clan soon. Up to this time, you will become my slave. I will favor you. I know the demonic Sound Clan's body cannot bear such a strong sexual penetration. Don't worry, I will be very gentle with you and will not let you die. ECU-Bai's body slightly shivered. She was lividly angry, looking at that guy with full of hatred. Birdman, your mouth stinks. Yin coldly shouted. Damn humankind. What did you call me? Birdman. Chapter 242, Wiped Out. Chapter 242, Wiped Out. _ The face of the wings race's man was malignant. His eyes shot out a cold ray of light. A flow of murderous aura slowly spread out from his gray wings all of a sudden. Gently flapping his wings, the man of the wings race deliberately moved towards Yin. Sharp wind swords condensed and emitted dazzling, splendid light on his way, approaching Yin. The wind power hidden inside those swords was very terrifying. Stupid humankind, I will make you wish that you would be better dead than alive. The one who insults Han Long doesn't dream to have an easy death. When the wings race's man flapped his wings, each of the sharp wind swords shrieked and flew out, creating many glowing lights in the air, flaring up and immediately disappearing. The other two men of the wings race with cold, gloomy eyes were behind him, one on the left and one on the right. They were protecting the man in the middle. The cultivation base of the three wings race's men was at the Earth realm. The man on the lead, named Han Long, probably had the cultivation base, which was one level higher than the other two, perhaps at the second sky of the Earth realm. His body was very sturdy. His muscles contained vigorous power, as if he would immediately turn into a javelin darting toward Shi Yin. Good. Come here. Under the attack of those sharp wind swords, Shi Yin beamed out a faint smile. His face didn't show any fear. He screamed out loud before slightly moving his body. His body easily avoided those wind swords as quickly as lightning. That's all you have? Shi Yin didn't even urge the rampage, nor the negative powers yet. If you only have this, you are done? Han Long. Ecu Bai's face slightly changed. Her eyes were full of astonishment. You are Han Long, the son of the Grey Wings clan's leader. Stupid humankind. You are dead. The man of the Wings race did not care about Ecu Bai. He slowly took a deep breath, seeming to restrain his anger. I will arrest you, bring you to the Grey Wings clan, and let you suffer the molesting hands of the lewd laughing ape. The other two guys beside him burst into laughter with malicious faces after hearing that. You have a special taste, I assume. Do you often do it with lewd ape? Shi Yin, with a strange face, looked like he had just woken up from a long time of consciousness. He clapped his hands and laughed out loud. You are right. Birdmen are also a hybrid delivered by animals. It is understandable if you do it with the lewd ape. I am just too surprised. Boom. An explosion came out from behind the Wings race's man called Han Long. The flapping speed was getting faster. Like an arrow shot out of a bow, Han Long flew straight towards Shi Yin with a cold face and a hateful look in his eyes. In the howling wind, the two silver secret treasures on his hand emitted dazzling silver light which contained tremendous, unbreakable, ferocious aura. At the same time, muscles on the body of the Wings race's man expanded, and the mighty profound chi inside his body also moved faster. Concurrently, Han Long had been irritated completely, determinately launching one strike to kill Shi Yin. Shi Yin's eyes slightly squinted. The flows of white-gray smoke slowly flew out from the pores of his entire body. In that mist of smoke, different negative feelings of despair, bloodshed, violence gathered behind him altogether. A flow of cold, strange, viperous, and resentful aura suddenly became denser and more intense. The white-gray smoke quickly converged and condensed into a terrible, furious phantom. The negative feelings condensed into an entity. Shi Yin had discovered this skillful attacking technique. He made use of the negative feelings floating around in the air, condensing into a phantom which was the mix of reality and illusion. As this phantom contained a lot of negative emotions, it was similar to giving it life. After the phantom was created, not only did it bring out terrifyingly horrendous forces, but it also contained various negative feelings to slaughter enemies, stirring up the enemy's mind and breaking their defensive forces so that the negative feelings could easily absorb into their mind. What is it? As soon as seeing the phantom, the three guys of the Wings race all screamed out at the same time. Ecu Bai's face slightly changed. She silently moved backward, keeping a distance from the phantom. The demonic Sound Clan soul was unique. Ecu Bai's soul competency was profound, and her power sense was thorough. At the moment that the phantom had appeared, she had immediately recognized a weird thing about this phantom. Although many malicious forces gathered inside its body, it also had a lot of emotional movements. This unusual creature with ferocious life was full of bloody, murderous desire. Break! Shi Yin shouted out loud while, lifting his two arms up in the air, launching the dazzling life and death seal. Han Long's silver secret treasure, like a giant claw, also emitted the sharp silver light, dashing towards Dan Yin like real sharp weapons. However, as soon as Shi Yin launched the life and death seal, the silver lights darting towards him broke into many silver points of light and vanished quickly. The life and death seal crushed that silver lights like cutting dry plant stems, and it then continued lunging straight towards Han Long's chest. Han Long's face changed dramatically. His sturdy body ceased in the air and quickly flew away. The tremendous, profound chi gathered inside his body. He flapped his wings very fast. Howling winds burst and formed a visible flow of whirlwind. The life and death seal kept dashing and piercing that whirlwind impetuously. Boisterous explosive sounds continually reverberated. That whirlwind went off completely and quickly disappeared. Kill him. Han Long's eyes were like a poisonous snake, staring at Shi Yin. As soon as the whirlwind vanished, Han Long quickly stepped backward. The other two men of the Wings race rapidly approached Shi Yin, one on the left and one on the right. After having moved back to avoid the aftershocks of the life and death seal's explosion, Han Long continued to dart toward Shi Yin, emitting a ferocious, murderous aura. Shi Yin, he is the son of the Grey Wings clan's leader. You. ECU Bai couldn't help but scream out loud, trying to stop Shi Yin from fighting with him. Go. Shi Yin didn't even bother to throw her a glance. He stretched his hand pointing to Han Long. The giant phantom hovering about behind him suddenly flew out, extending its giant claws, showing its fangs, approaching Han Long and sinking its fangs into him. Boom! Many flows of glowing burning fires suddenly inflamed in his palms, wrapping around his fingers like a worm twisting. Let burn your feather first. Shi Yin swung his hand. A flame flew out from his hand, rolling toward the two men of the Wings race who were heading to him. He is the son of the Grey Wings clan's leader. Shi Yin, there is no use in killing him. Forget it. We should leave now. DCU Bai shouted. You moron, you cannot live. Under the phantom's attack, Han Long was still idiotic. He grinned and said, Who insults me will have to wish to be dead than alive. Birdman is Birdman, limited intelligence. Shi Yin shook his head. His eyes were cold. When he flickered his consciousness, the phantom threw itself on Han Long and spread out its violent negative forces, covering Han Long's body in a blink. Hiss, hiss, hiss. A heart-rending scream rose up. The heaven flame had touched the two men of the Wings race. The burning fires burned up the Grey Wings on their back. Both of them drearily shouted in panic. All of the forces on their bodies gradually disappeared. No trouble in the future if you all die. The intense burning fires, like masses of clouds, suddenly changed direction, flying towards the three men of the Wings race. When ECU Bai screamed out in fear, the heaven flame had already wrapped them up. The phantom quietly returned next to Shi Yin and gradually vanished. Being burned by the burning fires, the three men of the Wings race didn't have a chance to scream. In just a few seconds, their bodies were burnt to ashes, dispersing with the wind. None of their spiritual ori remained. Shi Yin was surprised. He closed his eyes to sense for a while before shaking his head regretfully, thinking that he should just use only a small part of the heaven flame to fight next time. Otherwise, there would be nothing left for him to take. Ashes of those men dispersed and vanished. Just like that, the three men of the Wings race disappeared from Shi Yin's sight. ECU Bai's infatuating eyes were still full of panic. She horribly looked at the ashes scattering everywhere and suddenly felt chilled. Roar, roar. Inside the Sound Beast mountain ahead, the Sound Beasts instantly howled altogether as soon as they saw the heaven flame. Many Sound Beasts had gone out of the Sound Beast mountain before the heaven flame's appearance. However, when the roars and howls reverberated, they all trembled and quickly ran back into the Sound Beast mountain. The high-level Sound Beasts could feel the destructive power of the heaven flame. They roared and howled to call their descendants to avoid Shi Yin's heaven flame. In a short time, all of the Sound Beasts had already retrieved. On the Sound Beast's mountain flank, the Sound Beasts with firm bodies displayed panic and horror looks, staring at Dan Yin from a distance. Apparently, those Sound Beasts were frightened as they knew the danger of the heaven flame. You killed Han Long. Why did you kill Han Long? ECU Bai mumbled with a confused face. She said in shock, Han Long was the son of the Grey Wings clan's leader. The Grey Wings clan is one of the three branches of the Wings race. The head of Grey Wings clan has been very combative and always covered his men's weaknesses. When he finds out that Han Long has died, he definitely will get crazily mad. All three of them died. Who will be the bearer of the bad news? No one. Shi Yin smiled. That guy had wanted to kill me. Of course, I could not just let them kill me without doing anything. Their death was not too messy. If I stay here, the sound beast on the Sound Beast Mountain will not come out for this moment. Maybe we should move away and wait for the sound beasts to come down. We will then continue to kill them? Hope so. ECU Bai wasn't sure. The Wings race have a poor soul cultivation. He will find out that Han Long has been dead, but he cannot know who has killed him. I hope he will not know the cause of Han Long's death. Otherwise, not only will you get trouble, but also will our tribe have to suffer his anger. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of flapping wings suddenly came up from a distance from behind the Sound Beast Mountain. This time, there were many flapping sounds in the air, which meant that many people of the Wings race were coming. Go quick. ECU Bai's face changed. She held Shi Yin and flew away, heading towards the giant stone ancient city. Chapter 243. Give me a reason. Many Grey Wings clans people quickly appeared where Shi Yin and ECU Bai had just left. After arriving, a group of them looked around from east to west, seeming to search for something. One of them took out a dark green crystal pearl and extracted a drop of blood onto that ball. The crystal pearl slowly emitted a green ray of light. Many beams of Han Long's spirit aura gathered from the scattering ashes in the air and went into the pearl. The face of the guy from the Grey Wings clan changed dramatically and said, Han Long is dead. All of Grey Wings clan's people there crazily roared all together and quickly scattered to search for the murderer. Behind the Sound Beast Mountain, in the Grey Wings clan's territory, there were many strange wooden huts on ancient tree trunks. The Grey Wings clan's people were cultivating inside those huts. Behind a big ancient tree trunk was a ravine overwhelmed with howling winds. Inside that ravine, an elderly man of the Grey Wings clan whose appearance similar to Han Long's was silently watching an appealing figure who was sitting in the middle of the shrieking winds. His cold eyes sparked lustful look. The figure with the sexy body was full of dense wind aura, and she was wearing a red fire armor. She was sitting in the middle of the ravine. A lot of the wind forces were quickly gathering, becoming the restorative medicine for her martial spirit inside of her body. It elated her mind and enlightened her glowing face. Miss He, you have cultivated very well. The wind forces of the Heaven Wind Valley are adamant. Normally, only I can cultivate it. Now I give it to you. The elderly man of the Grey Wings clan fixed his torch-lighting eyes on that beautiful body for a long while and mumbled, You are the gift from heaven. The wind martial spirit in your body is the best thing for me to cultivate the wind forces successfully. Wait until you gather enough the wind forces. I will take it to improve my cultivation realm, exceeding the other two guys. Inside the ravine, the wind forces were wrapping He Ching Man's body. Her beautiful eyes slowly opened, glancing at the elderly man over there, and then closing again right away. Her face displayed a dreary look. Tinkling, tinkling. A strange sound suddenly resounded from the chest of the elderly man. He winced and hauled a dark green crystal pearl from his chest, and then annoyedly asked, What happened? Young master is dead. The crystal pearl transmitted a hasty, anxious voice. What? The elderly man's face suddenly changed with green veins prominently bulging. He looked very furious. He irritatingly shouted, Say it again? Young master is dead. His soul has scattered. Please spare my life, master. We did not know why it happened. The voice from the crystal pearl was anxiously worried. The elderly man of the Grey Wings clan could not bear it anymore. He raised his head up to the sky, deliriously shouting. Wailing wind and furious energy gathered all together, going into the crystal pearl. The crystal pearl projected dazzling green rays of light all of a sudden. The green light continually condensed, forming an image. Numerous green fibers sketched out Shi Yin's frigid face in that green image. The more energy that poured in, the clearer Shi Yin's appearance became. Humankind, the elderly man shouted out loud. Sharp winds burst strongly, pulling up all the surrounding ancient trees' trunks and scattering wooden pieces in the air. He Ching Man could sense his aggressive movements. She couldn't help but open her eyes, seeing Shi Yan's face sketched out by the green lights in the cave. Her eyes flared up an astonished look, and she almost shouted. She quickly closed her eyes, pretending to see nothing. He Ching Man, do you know this humankind? The elderly man of the Gray Wings clan breathed heavily. His bold face turned towards He Ching Man and shouted. Opening her eyes again, He Ching Man attentively gazed at Shi Yan's illusory image appearing in a green light screen for a while before speaking. He is our target. We have entered the chasm battlefield to hunt him down. I don't know where he is now. My group has separated since we have arrived here, and no one knows of one another's location. I will make him wish to be dead than alive. The elderly man took a deep breath. He now looked like an irritated beast roaring terrifyingly. How can you survive now? He Ching Man beamed out a miserable smile, slightly shaking her head, starting to worry for Shi Yan's life. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A beautiful figure dragging a person along was quickly dashing towards the giant ancient stone city. See you bye. A great shout suddenly came up from inside of the giant ancient stone city. Father! ECU Bai screamed out in surprise. She slowed down her speed, approaching the direction of her father. Do you feel the strange things of the Sound Beast Mountain? Etian Imo nodded. His ashy gray eyes flared up a strange light. See you Bai. Has this little rascal captured any beasts? He has killed 3 child devils. ECU Bai said. What? Etian Mo's face changed, but then quickly turned back to normal. He looked at ECU Bai for a while before asking, finally, what has happened? His body has the heaven flame. He also killed the son of the Gray Wings clan's leader. ECU Bai said with a miserable smile. The Etian Mo's skinny body slightly shivered. His terrified look was hard to cover up. He helplessly looked at Shi Yan with a shocked face. The heaven flame, I can't believe it is the heaven man. After mumbling for a moment, Etian Mo suddenly dragged a strange half-smile out of his mouth. Shi Yan, I can't believe you have the heaven flame. That's very good. Father! ECU Bai shouted loudly. Don't kill him. He has saved my life. Without him, the child devils could have killed me. ECU Bai understood her father very well. Etian Mo hadn't said nor smiled earlier, but once he showed that strange smiley face, it meant that he wanted to kill someone. No need to mention that he has saved your life. Even if he saved mine, he still must die. Etian smiled while shaking his head. His ashy gray eyes stared at Shi Yan. His existence put the entire demonic Sound clan into a deadly danger. We have been deported to this place where we don't have any icy secret treasures to defend ourselves. Once he reaches the level where he is not afraid of our soul attacks anymore, he is the genuine danger for the demonic Sound clan. You cannot kill me, Shi Yan vigorously shouted all of a sudden. What? Etian Mo's face had a strange, cheerful look. His eyes became darkened. Tell me, what reason do you have that stops me from killing you? I know you are smart. You will not again mention that you have saved my daughter. I can help you deal with the Sound Beasts. This reason is not enough. Your existence is more dangerous than the Sound Beasts. The Sound Beast Mountain has changed, and thus many Sound Beasts might run out of the Sound Beast Mountain, including the Child Devils. They can destroy the demonic Sound clan. Shi Yan frowned and said, if we hide inside the ancient city, the Sound Beasts can hardly do anything. They will return to the Sound Beast Mountain after a while. You cannot convince me. Etian Mo continued shaking his head. The cheerful face remained unchanged. The formation technique on the Sound Beast Mountain has weakened. There will be a significant change. This time, the Sound Beast on the Sound Beast Mountain will be probably more aggressive than before. ECU Bai could not help but scream. Father, let's wait for a while. Let's see the commotions of the Sound Beasts. If we keep him alive, we can have solutions to deal with the Sound Beasts. This reason is still not enough. Etian Mo continued shaking his head. The cheerful face was still there. The murderous intention wasn't gone yet. I can help you deal with the other leaders of the demonic Sound clan. I have heard that there are another 2 leaders like you. Think again. If you control me and keep me alive, You will have incredible support to oppress the other two leaders. Shi Yin suddenly became lucid. He immediately opened his mouth just right before Etian Mo took actions. The cheerful look on Etian Mo's face disappeared. His eyes flared up many strange rays of light. He was deep in thought with the somber face, considering the pros and cons. Not long after that, Etian Mo nodded his head and said, I provisionally shall not kill you, but you cannot let any other people see the heaven flame at any cost. Understood. Shi Yin hastily nodded. Swoosh. Not far from there, some figures were flying over, breaking the speed barrier in the air. There appeared that many people of the demonic Sound Clan were approaching the Sound Beast Mountains direction from the ancient city. See you bye. You bring him back first. I'll go to the Sound Beast Mountain. Etian Mo knitted his eyebrows while instructing his daughter. Yubai nodded, grabbing Shi Yin and quickly walking towards the ancient city. On the way, Shi Yin quietly observed everywhere and realized that many high-level warriors of the demonic Sound Clan were advancing towards Sound Beast Mountain. The two flows of soul movements among those warriors were too powerful that even Shi Yin had to be frightened. These two flows of soul movements flashed up and quickly disappeared from Shi Yin's soul consciousness. The two leaders, Kaba and Yiming, are also going there. Yubai explained to Shi Yin. They are like my father, the leaders of the demonic Sound Clan. They are very dangerous. The abnormality of the Sound Beast Mountain has apparently astounded them as well. Are they running towards the Sound Beast Mountain? Are they not afraid of being attacked by the Sound Beasts? Asked Shi Yin, a bit surprised. Both Kaba and Yiming have very high-level cultivation base. Except for the high-level child devils, almost none of the Sound Beasts can hurt them. If they want to run, even the child devils cannot catch them. Yubai replied. Understood. In the giant stone ancient city. Inside an imposing structural building, Chao Zhilan, Gu Linglong, Chu Yanqing, Pan Zhao and other warriors were confined in a secret chamber. Yiming's guards regularly came and took a single warrior away each time. Not long afterward, a mournful voice could be heard from a chamber next door. At this moment, Chao Zhilan and Pan Zhao, the new outstanding talents of the Endless Sea, were wearing gloomy faces and losing their previous proud look. Chao Zhilan, your spirit god martial spirit can't deactivate the soul formation technique? A warrior of the Penglai Divine asked Chao Zhilan with a hopeless face. Chao Zhilan was sitting cross-legged. She slightly shook her head and reluctantly said, the soul knowledge of this pagan tribe is much more developed than ours. If there is any change in my spirit god martial spirit, they can immediately sense and respond to it. Not to mention that my soul is in confinement. Even if it was not, I would not dare to use it. So, we just wait here to die? This warrior mumbled. Currently, I do not have any solutions. However, Shi Yin has not been captured. He might have solutions. Anyway, his body has some special powers. Maybe he can survive here? Him, Pan Zhao, Gu Linglong, and Chu Yanqing all surprisingly screamed out with astonished faces. Chapter 244, 5 Devils Condensation Refining, _. In a big stone chamber with dim light. Shi Yin held his breath and meditated. His eyes sparked a subtle electric light which looked splendidly bright in the dark stone room. When his fingers gently fondled the blood vein ring, his spirit was immersed in it. The world inside there gradually appeared within his mind. As he spread out his mind, he felt that the blood vein ring seemed endless, quiet, empty, and immense. In this strange space, there were 3 particular areas. One was so cold that it could freeze one's marrow, one was sweltering and dazzling, while the rest was unpredictably extraordinary. The ice-cold flame, the earth flame, and the giant fire crystal sword stayed in 3 separate areas, being tied up by the blood vein ring inside of its anomalous space. Dubious gray hazes surrounded the ice-cold flame, preventing it from releasing the ice powers. Even when Shi Yin's spirit called for it, the ice-cold flame had no strange reaction. Opposite to the scorching, dazzling light, the miraculous soul appeared clearer. After having obtained the sun power of the sun-refined spirit, The earth flame was going through a fast transformation. Its soul gradually formed and had a self-controlled consciousness. When Shi Yan's spirit concentrated on the other area, and his consciousness went through many layers of obstacles, he realized that the earth flame's area was full of burning fires and flooded with light and terrifying heat. If it wasn't because of the sun power that had tempered his body and soul, nor the scorching sun power inside his consciousness, his soul consciousness could have been burnt to ashes already. The burning fires burst up, radiating dazzling light and releasing great heat as if it had to burn everything down completely. You come here. Suddenly, a fragile stream of consciousness slowly went into Shi Yan's spirit from those fires. In the dark stone chamber, Shi Yan's eyes shot out the electric light. His body slightly shivered. The earth flame sent out a complete message for the first time. It meant that its form would be shaped for real in a short period. It also meant that from now, it was able to communicate conveniently with him like the ice-cold flame. Finally you can send out a clear message. That's superb. No need to rush. Continue cultivating. You and I can have a real conservation soon. Shi Yan beamed out a smile from the corner of his mouth and gently fondled the blood vein ring, sending out his message. I can quickly transform to be like it. The earth flame's voice was like a baby practicing to speak. Although it was not fluent, Shi Yan still could understand it. Good. I am waiting for that day. Inside the blood vein ring, the earth flame's spirit violently vibrated in the middle of the burning fires. When Shi Yan's spirit observed inside of the blood vein ring, he could see each thin stream of burning fires twisted and condensed, weaving into a mysterious magnetic field. Burning fire fibers like human brain nerves became the life source of the earth flame. After having received Shi Yan's consciousness, the life of the earth flame twisted and refined faster through some miraculous ways. Each thread of the fire stream of souls was like a lively animal, dancing inside of the magnetic field and emitting firepower that made people's souls tremble. Shi Yan's mood was very good while he slowly retrieved his consciousness. Although he could not communicate with the ice-cold flame, the earth flame's transformation made him very happy. With the current transforming speed, the earth flame would have a complete form in no time, turning into the heaven flame like the ice-cold flame. After finishing this step, the earth flame would be considered the genuine heaven flame. Absorbing the sun power of the sun-refined spirit had apparently helped its transformation. Inside the dark stone chamber, Shi Yan was sitting cross-legged and breathing regularly. He was in deep thought. A moment later, he sent his spirit into the blood vein ring again to observe the huge sword's hilt in the blood vein ring. The gigantic sword was like a brilliant fire crystal. There were many closing evil eyes on the sword. The sword hilt had lost all its former splendid power since it had entered the blood vein ring. It did not release any special powers. The former attacking power that easily destroyed the other souls also completely disappeared. The gigantic sword hovered about in the blood vein ring. It seemed to have turned to a regular big sword. Shi Yan's spirit observed for a while, but still could not find anything special. His consciousness could hardly connect with the sword. He wanted to take the gigantic sword's hilt out of the blood vein ring to observe it carefully, but he realized that he could not do so. Although he had worn the blood vein ring on his finger, he still did not have a profound understanding about this ring, nor command the blood vein ring until now. He realized that he was always in a passive mode with the blood vein ring, and let the blood vein ring lead him around by the nose. He didn't like this feeling but could do nothing. A ray of light flashed up from a corner of the blood vein ring. The light was not dazzling nor as glowing as the earth flame's light. Shi Yan had wanted to retrieve his spirit out of the blood vein ring before detecting the existence of the light, as well as layer upon layer of forces of the formation technique from that light. While being shocked, Shi Yan suddenly remembered that after having entered the earth realm, he hadn't continued to break the protection wall of the blood vein ring. Inside of the blood vein ring had a peculiar memory soul. Both the rampage martial technique and the life and death seal came from the blood vein ring. Every time the forces in his body increased to a specific level, he would receive a beneficial martial technique from the blood vein ring. After contemplating for a while, Shi Yan retrieved the spirit from the blood vein ring. In the stone chamber, Yin quietly hauled out the refined pill, swallowed it, and started to restore his profound qi. After regulating for a long time, until he felt his energy peaked, he suddenly launched powers. The massive, profound qi, like a flood breaking dikes, poured into the blood vein ring aggressively and became a powerful light beam. With its highest speed, it went straight to the hard protection wall inside of the blood vein ring. Thud. An echoing sound from inside of the blood vein ring came out. The solid protection wall shattered into pieces all of a sudden. A wave of memory with different symbols dispersed out from behind that protection wall like a surging tide, jumping into Yan's sea of consciousness and becoming a memory engraving on his brain without being removed easily. A bunch of strange symbols in his head congregated and formed a strange heaven formation. This formation could gather the negative feelings which were the 5 devils in the sea of mind. The sea of consciousness churned up. These strange symbols slowly flew up in there, causing some abnormal changes. At the same time, Yan's body slightly trembled. The negative feelings from the meridians of his entire body started to be uncontrollable, spreading out vigorously and assembling in the sea of consciousness. The soul consciousness gathering in the sea of consciousness was stirred up. Strange symbols from the blood vein ring started to absorb the soul consciousness forces in the sea of consciousness and engraved on Yan's spirit. Gradually, those symbols turned to be 5 tiny transparent figures whose appearances were exactly identical to Yan's. Each of those dwarves was immersed in the sea of consciousness, absorbing the power in the sea of consciousness. Yan's living aura gradually developed inside of the transparent dwarves, as if they were given some life seal. Inside the dark stone chamber, Yan's eyes were sparkling like twinkling stars in the sky. Different uncontrollable negative feelings spread out and then flew towards the sea of consciousness very fast. Those flows of negative emotions rolled into the 5 transparent dwarves. Despair, fear, bloodshed, greed, and resentment were 5 different kinds of feelings. Once they poured into the sea of consciousness, they immediately dispersed. The 5 feelings divided into 5 flows which were like separated long fibers going into each different transparent dwarf. Yin was sitting motionlessly and suffering everything passively. After the 5 feelings of despair, fear, bloodshed, greed, and resentment poured into these 5 transparent dwarfs, the dwarf's appearances gradually transformed. The skin of the dwarf with despair became dark blue. His shoulders started to be covered with pangolin scales. 2 extra arms grew from underneath of his 2 original arms. The dwarf absorbing fear grew a peculiar sharp horn. His 2 eyes became a strange silver white. The dwarf with bloodshed had blazing red eyes, an angry face, and a long thin fang growing out from the 2 corners of his mouth. The dwarf absorbing greed closed his 2 legs while a tail grew behind him at his waist. The eyes of the resentment dwarf became deep blue and cold. The black veins wrapped its entire body. Its nails were like sharp knives. Different uncontrollable emotions flooded into the sea of consciousness and poured into the 5 dwarves. After that, the 5 dwarves slowly transformed, becoming more and more devilish with full of the wicked aura covering their bodies, making others' spirits frightened and panic. Yin did not know what had happened. He just could passively accept everything. He then gradually realized that although his living energy had been instilled into the 5 dwarves in the sea of consciousness, they became more and more different from him and almost identical with the phantom which he had condensed and refined by making use of the negative forces. Yin was frightened. Devil of despair, devil of fear, devil of bloodshed, devil of greed, and the devil of resentment. The 5 dwarves' appearances became more and more ferocious. From each flow of his bobbing consciousness in the sea of consciousness, the ancient symbols appeared again, went into the 5 dwarves' bodies, flaring up and then disappearing right away. It seemed to check and identify these 5 dwarves. Those devils were condensed and refined by the negative feelings. Yan's body was agitated. A stream of spirit light appeared in his head. For a moment, different kinds of profound Upanishads related to the formation technique of the 5 devils in the sea of mind started to respond from the 5 dwarves. These Upanishads also poured into Yan's head, becoming a part of his memory. In a blink, Shi Yin seemed to master everything about these 5 dwarfs. He had found a way to control them and figured out exactly how to use them. All kinds of negative feelings kept flowing out nonstop from inside and quickly pouring into the 5 dwarves. After they had received the feelings of despair, bloodshed, fear, greed, and resentment, the ferocious auras on their bodies were getting stronger and stronger that could violently intimidate others' spirits. "Get out!" Shi Yin shouted out loud. The 5 dwarves in the sea of consciousness instantly disappeared. Right after that, 5 illusory 10-meter-tall devil images reappeared behind Shi Yin. These were the 5 devils of despair, bloodshed, fear, greed, and resentment in his sea of consciousness. Chapter 245. He is very special. Rome. Outside the giant stone ancient city, in a thick immense forest, growls of sound beasts resounded regularly. A bunch of demonic sound clans people complacently stayed inside the city, did not dare to go out because they were afraid of being attacked by the beasts outside. In the past few days, Sound Beasts and Sound Beast Mountain all got out of the mountain because the control style had been weakened, which messed up everything around. Among Sound Beasts, there were even demon children at the 6th or 7th level. Demon Child could be said to be the natural enemy of Demonic Sound Clan. Demon Child's existence threatened each member of Demonic Sound Clan to the max. Once hearing the bitter cry of the Demon Child, they felt frightened out of their wits immediately. In the giant stone ancient city, on the old dark gray lava rock wall, there were full of drawings of different beasts. Each radiant stone was encrusted into the wall, emitted sparkling lights. This big city was covered by a powerful energy. This flow of energy always existed, just like big powerful waves strongly affected sound beasts. The control style, shelter covered the ancient city, prevented all sound beasts outside. Sound beasts only stayed outside howling, did not dare to invade the ancient city. On the wall of ancient city, Etionimo was wearing a blue tunic standing straight. His face was thoughtful looking out far away, together with the other 2 leaders Yimeng and Kaba of Demonic Sound Clan. Bai and Yaji were behind the 3 leaders, Etionimo, Yimeng, Kaba. They also seriously looked out. Outside the city, sound beasts' growls and shrieks resounded non-stop. Darking hovered without dispersing. All kinds of sound beasts surrounded the ancient city waiting for something. 3 leaders standing on top of the castle frowned and discussed with a low tone. They did not seem optimistic. Bai, where is the human warrior you have captured? Yaji was holding some green pearls, stolidly asked. Inside those pearls, there were light-moving souls. The pearls collided to one another in his hand, often flashed out a little of strange soul energy. How is it related to you? Bai knitted her brows slightly, did not want to answer him, turned back glancing at another girl nearby, and asked, Shuefei, your father is very familiar with Sound Beast Mountain. Your people often go to Sound Beast Mountain recently. Do you know why the control style of the Sound Beast Mountain has been weakened? Shuefei is the sole daughter of the leader Kaba, with glowing snow-white skin, picturesque eyelashes, deep eyes, was also an exceptional pretty girl of Demonic Sound Clan. I don't know. The control style keeps getting weaker incomprehensibly. This time it is really strange. Many demon children have got out of the Sound Beast Mountain, but they still lingered here without dispersing. Eventually, what do they want to do? Shuefei shook her head, showing that she did not know. Bai, that human warrior is a little dangerous. You should exchange him to me. The pearls in Yaji's hand collided constantly. Soul energy circulated inside those pearls. These God pearls have been refined from those warriors' souls by a secret method. They are very useful for our soul cultivation. If you give him to me, these God pearls are yours. Yaji, since when do you become so generous? Shuefei was curious, opened her eyes and asked surprisingly, just because of one human warrior, you can exchange these pearls. Is he very special? Warriors who I have captured came here to deal with that guy. Unexpectedly, he is not scared. He seems to have some secrets, humph. I think he is special. Shuefei noticed that Bai did not want to exchange. She guessed Siyu Bai might also know something special about Shiyan. She wanted to clarify more. Is it so, Siyu Bai? You have captured him for long. You should have realized something special about him? There is nothing to discover, Siyu Bai coldly said. Yaji smiled, obviously did not believe her. Let's do this. You come to my place. I can let you choose 5 human warriors. I use those 5 warriors to exchange for that guy. What do you think? Yaji, you are so annoying. Siyu Bai's face was uncomfortable. Yaji coldly snorted. His eyes became frigid, clearly unhappy. Roam, roam. At this moment, Sound Beast's crazy howls resounded from far deep of the forest outside the ancient city. Swoosh, swoosh. A birdman with 5 or 6 meter long gray wings being attacked by sound beasts flapped his wings shrieking and flying away. Sound beasts surrounding aggressively attacked, but Elder of Gray Wings clan was not frightened. His body projected dazzling wind blades, which sound beasts had to ward off. Under pressure of sound beasts, this Elder of Gray Wings clan still dared to enter the ancient city of demonic sound clan, walking arrogantly. The control-style shelter on ancient city's walls of demonic sound clan shrank strangely when his figure appeared. Let him enter the ancient city freely. Duo Long Ji, what brings you here? Yimeng's head was full of white hair, held his head up to the sky laughing, clasping his hands towards Gray Wings clan's master in a distance. We are discussing if we should visit Gray Wings clan. Unexpectedly, Duo Long Ji already come here first. That is very good. Tian Mo's ashy gray eyes flashed up worried, secretly glanced at Siyu Bai signaling. Siyu Bai was talking to Yaji, Shuefei. Suddenly her eyes changed strangely, nodded her head slightly without letting anyone notice, spoke to Shuefei, Yaji. I have something to do, I should go now. Upon her words, without waiting for Yaji's, Shuefei's reaction, her subtle body gently swayed and disappeared in a blink. The master of Gray Wings clan, Duolong's eyes was murderous, stared at Yimeng, Etianimo, Kaba shouting, I've heard you have captured some human beings. That's right. Yimeng's face looked astonished. Previously, some human beings appeared in the forest near here without any known reasons. They have been captured and confined. Why do Duo Long Ji also pay attention to these human beings? Why your Gray Wings clan also want to use humankind's soul to cultivate something? Bring out all those warriors here. I want to look for someone. Duo Long's eyes were like a ferocious, poisonous snake, extremely malignant. Han Long, my son, has been killed by a human being. I want to crush his bones into ashes, make him suffer all painful tortures. What? Yimeng, Kaba, Etianimo could not help yelling. Their faces were extremely frightened. Okay, I know what to do. Yimeng nodded his head, understood this was important, turned to Yaji, said, Bring all human warriors here. Yaji bent his body, leaving quickly. Etianimo, I have heard you've also captured one human warrior. Should you also? Yimeng looked at Etianimo. Yifeng, you go back and bring that human out here. Etianimo did not say too much, looked towards the guy not far from him, commanded. Yifeng also quickly left. Duo Long Ji, does Gray Wings clan area over there also have sound beasts everywhere? Kaba suddenly asked. Only your area is serious. Sound beast levels are very low in our area, easily to be wiped out. Duo Long's face was cold. It seemed he did not want to talk about anything before taking his revenge. Kaba wanted to ask something, but seeing his cold face, he smirked and stopped asking. Yimeng, Etianimo did not say anything more, waited silently with strange faces. Not long after, Yaji and other guys of demonic sound clan used some beasts to pull along a big cage with Chao Jilan, Panja and others inside. Chao Jilan, Guling Long, Panja, Chiang Ching sat at a corner of the cage. Their faces changed constantly, quietly observed demonic sound clan and Duo Long of Gray Wings clan, worrying. In these few days, their men had been taken away one by one and disappeared completely. They also understood Yaji's people had already killed those men who had been taken away. Although Chao Jilan did not dare to use spiritual martial soul, she still vaguely knew those men's souls had been extracted from their bodies, refined into special cultivation medicine for demonic Sound Clan. After Chao Zilan released her discovery, all others were full of despair, started to regret entering the Abyss battlefield to killing Mu, Shi Yin, not letting it go, everything. Duo Long's eyes were resentful. He cast his eyes over and over, shaking his head non-stop. A deep blue-green crystal ball suddenly emerged in Duo Long's palm. Duo Long slightly flipped his hand. Each green light circle irradiated from the crystal ball. In the middle of green lights, Shi Yan's appearance like an illusion upside down in the water gradually appeared. Shi Yin, Chao Zilan, Panja, Gu Ling Long, Chu Yin Qing, those who were kept inside the cage, had full of fear in their eyes and shaken spirits, immediately knew who Duo Long was looking for, the one who put them into this desperate situation. That's him. Yaji also shouted. Who? Duo Long clenched his teeth. The guy who has been captured by Cu Bai. I used to meet him before. Facing Duo Long's cold eyes, Yaji did not dare to lie, quickly said. He is a little special. Those people who I have captured came to this place because of pursuing him. Many people united still could not kill him. Emo. Duo Long's body suddenly projected very sharp energy. He shouted and screamed out angrily. Hurry to bring that guy to me. In Mo's ashy gray eyes, each ashy gray line emerged clearer. A strange flow of soul exploded in his head and sudden, profound chi quickly gathered in his body running rapidly through his veins. He was ready to deal with Duo Long. I have already told Yifeng to bring him out. Mo took precautions. His face was cold, said, he would be brought here in no time, Duo Long. You should not be too agitated. Okay, I hope your man can bring that guy here, otherwise, don't blame me not to have mercy. Duo Long's eyes were wide open. He slowly nodded his head. Chapter 246, History Repeated. On the wall of the ancient city, Duo Long's body was full of murderous pressure. His eyes contained maximum resentment, waiting quietly. Three people Kaba, Yimeng, and Emo stayed beside cautiously, did not say anything. Many people of demonic Sound Clan did not even breathe hard, stood straight, did not dare to look at Duo Long. General strength of Wings Race was more powerful than demonic Sound Clan. Recently, when fighting with Wings Race, if it was not because of the internal conflict on inside Wings Race, demonic Sound Clan might have been conquered already. Wings Race's build was strong, profound chi was large and powerful, plus they were not afraid of the invasion from demonic Sound Clan Soul. They have a gifted advantage when fighting with demonic Sound Clan. Duo Long was the master of Grey Wings Clan. Although Grey Wings Clan's strength was not as strong as Black Wings Clan and White Wings Clan, they were very combative. Grey Wings Clan of Duo Long was the main force who exhorted demonic Sound Clan's enslavement. Therefore, Duo Long of Grey Wings Clan was hated the most by demonic Sound Clan's people, also made them frightened the most. Duo Long coming here was a shake for three people Kaba, Yimeng, Emo. For the rest of demonic Sound Clan, Duo Long could be considered a deadly murderer, didn't know what he would bring up. In the cage, Chao Zilan's eyes were transparent, sweeping Duo Long's body one time, quietly stared at the crystal ball in Duo Long's hand, astonished. She did not know what guilt Shi Yin had done to Duo Long after all, but looking at Duo Long's face, she was afraid that Shi Yin would receive bad news more than good news this time. It was indeed not a just game this time. Chao Zilan reluctantly sighed and sighed. She had hoped that Shi Yin could attack demonic Sound Clan so that she had a chance to escape the soul confinement of demonic Sound Clan. But Duo Long coming here caused Yin to become a target for everyone. Now everyone considered him a thorn in their eyes. After all, what did he do? Chao Zilan could imagine soon Shi Yin would be brought and being confined, suffered painful tortures by Duo Long so much that he would rather be dead than alive, and would be dead before them. Chu Yin Qing, Panjawar in the cage also had the same thought. Suddenly, Yifeng's figure appeared from a far distance. Not even having arrived the place, Yifeng screamed out, "Great Commander, that guy has escaped. Don't know when he has left the city. He should be outside of the city already." What? Etianimo couldn't help but scream. Which direction? Duo Long shouted stridently. Over there. Yifeng pointed towards outside the city. Etianimo, hope it was not you who did it. Wait until I arrest him, I will question him. Duo Long's body plunged furiously in the air. If I know you did it, don't blame me for having no mercy. Upon his words, Duo Long quickly flew out. Yiming, Kaba, Etianimo, and other high-level warriors of demonic Sound Clan, all astonished for a while, flew towards Duo Long's direction to another wall. On another wall of the ancient city, Yiming, Kaba, Etianimo, Yaji, and demonic Sound Clan's people looked ahead in a distance with strange faces. Each flock of sound beasts surrounded that area in the forest. A sixth-level demon child kept shrieking, seemed to gather more sound beats. Counting up, there were not less than 1,000 of sound beasts, which was extremely dense like a cloud of mosquitoes gathering. Behind a large number of sound beasts, dazzling lights were emitted. Looking from far, it was possible to see many high-level warriors of Wings race with long wings fighting with sound beats aggressively. A flow of red burning fire like a lightning zoomed towards the numerous sound beasts. Closely following the red burning fire was Duo Long, who was full of wind blades stirring in the air with his wide-open eyes and his teeth shone, held his head up to the sky laughing. Burning fire is really strong. That guy is the one whom you have captured? Kaba stared at Burning Fire's figure, carefully observed for a while. His face suddenly changed. That's not right. This burning fire is not the ordinary one. It's not. This is Heaven Flame. This is Heaven Flame. Etianimo, you did well. Etianmo's eyes flared up bright lights. His body slightly swayed a while, miserably said, I did not know. You didn't know? Yiming's face was suspicious. That guy's body has your soul confinement seal. If you put the control style on his body, how could you not know the secrets on his body? Etianimo, you are really not scared of playing with fire, which would burn you to death in the end. You yourself are the leader. You didn't know the danger of Heaven Flame to our whole clan? I really didn't know this moron could have Heaven Flame. Etianimo shook his head. But don't worry, Duo Long has gone there. Not to bother about this moron having Heaven Flame or not. He cannot hide from Duo Long's deadly strike. Things are turning out to be like this. No need to be worried too much. When Etianimo was talking, Siyu Bai's body reappeared quietly below the wall of the ancient city. You still claim it was not related to you? Kaba's face was cold. Perhaps you even already knew that moron had killed Duo Long's son. If not, you would not have let Siyu Bai free him. Etianimo, do you know what you are doing? When Duo Long arrests that moron and interrogates him, even after killing him, he still can hunt you down to take revenge. You know Duo Long's personality well. Why did you do that? I don't know what you were talking about. Etianmo's face was still unchanged. Even if Duo Long really wants to find me to take revenge, it's not related to you. Why do you care so much? Very good. Kaba's face was cold, towards Etianimo nodding his head. Suddenly seemed to understand something, burst into laughter. I understood. I did understand now. Etianimo. It turns out you already had some intention for us. Haha, Heaven Flame is demonic Sound Clan's nemesis. You want to use that guy to control me and Yiming? Finally, I understood. Yiming's face changed, also slowly nodded his head. So, that's it. Etianimo, your plan sounds very good. Regretfully, Duo Long came here and ruined it. You definitely did not think Duo Long could know who has killed his son. That's how your plan went wrong. You guys surely have the gift of speculation. Etianimo shook his head, his face unchanged. You will regret? Kaba smiled faintly. Yiming's face was also frigid, obviously extremely discontented with what Etianimo had done, seemed secretly to have some forethought to deal with Etianimo. A flow of burning fire spread out from his body. Yin turned to be a rocket, accelerated towards Sound Beast's gathering area. After Siyu Bai told Yin that Duo Long had come, Yin harumphed, ran out of the city with the speed of light. When he had killed Han Long, because he had wanted to prevent the opponent's father from knowing it, he had also killed the other two warriors who accompanied Han Long, killed all three of them. He had thought the enemy would have not found out if he had cleaned up everything, but he was wrong. So, he could only hide. He knew his advantage. He had heaven flame. He was not afraid of sound beasts. Therefore, the place where sound beasts gathered was the place for him to hide. Sound Beast Mountain. He knew from Cu by there was a large, strong shelter in Sound Beast Mountain. This shelter was isolated from Sound Beast Mountain. Even the 3 leaders of Wings race could not remove the shelter. Inside Sound Beast Mountain, they were full of sound beasts. The world-in was really strong. Except sound beasts, ordinary people's power would decrease if passing by. He only needed to arrive Sound Beast Mountain with Heaven Flame inside his body. He was not afraid of Sound Beast's attack. Heaven Flame could burn everything. Perhaps even the shelter in the mountain could also be destroyed. Sound Beast Mountain was dangerous for other people, but it was the place which saved him from Duo Long's pursuit. Boiling, burning fire in his body, Shi Yin urged electric shift. His body, like a flashing light, quickly dashed towards the place sound beasts gathering. Almost 1,000 of sound beasts gathering over there surrounded more than 10 people of Black Wings clan and White Wings clan. Among those sound beasts, there were some at the 6th or 7th level. Yin was emitted everywhere from these sound beasts, creating a layer of gray cloud that could be seen. Shi Yin was like a rocket, shot straight towards those sound beasts that were gathering there. Each flow of Yin was like black rolling cloud moving. The Yin hit his face. Shi Yin inhaled a deep breath, quickly felt more comfortable. His mind became extremely conscious. His eyes were full of surprise, carefully perceiving for a while. Shi Yin's body slightly shivered. His face was full of joy. 3 meridians on his chest created a Yin whirlpool which quietly circulated. The Yin whirlpool's movement was clearly related to the nearby Yin. When the Yin whirlpool moved, his body started to actively absorb gathering Yin. At the same time, a whirl quietly formed on top of his head. Right at the time that whirl appeared, it immediately projected a violent power. The nearby Yin, like a gray cloud, was gravitated by the whirl. All became the supplement for the whirl, made it bigger and bigger. Mysterious Yin spell. This special martial technique came from the 3 Gods sect. It was useful to take the concentrated world Yin. If using Mysterious Yin spell in a heavy Yin area, it would automatically form a whirl absorbing the world Yin of that area and turn to Yin God Pearl inside Yin Whirlpool. That year in Yin Exhaustion Land, he had used Mysterious Yin spell to resist Yin air. When unintentionally urging Mysterious Yin spell, he had absorbed completely the world Yin in Yin Exhaustion Land. That scene was still very clear. Currently seeing the transformation of Yin Whirlpool, a whirl formed on top of his head. Shi Yin suddenly felt it could happen again. He hovered still in the air, burning fire hovered inside his body, but there was a whirl refined by Yin flying on top of his head. The center of the whirl emitted powerful gravity, aggressively gathered Yin from everywhere. This area, more than 1,000 of sound beasts had already recognized some strange changes in the world, staring at Shi Yin resentfully. From the wall of the ancient city far away, 3 people Kaba, Yiming, Etianimo also could not believe what was happening, looked towards Shi Yin's place with eyes and mouth open. Chapter 247. Bad things turned out to be good. In Qi condensation refining, in condensation formed power. What is happening? I don't know. However, that guy is obviously a human being. How can he have the ability like the one of Sound Beast to gather Yin for cultivation? Furthermore, his Yin gathering speed is even several times faster than Sound Beast's. Humankind cannot have these powers. Even demonic Sound Clan cannot aggregate Yin power that fast. Our bodies cannot suffer that much Yin power. After all, who is that guy? The 3 leaders of demonic Sound Clan all got frightened with their astounded eyes wide open. They confusingly discussed together. At the place where Sound Beasts were gathering, a middle-aged man of Black Wings clan with black wings and a peculiar outward appearance was standing shoulder to shoulder with a beautiful elderly lady of White Wings clan who had snow-white wings. From a distance, they were looking at Shi Yin, whose body was immersing in burning fire. A Yin whirl emerged on top of his head. Dishan, the thing emitted from that guy's body is truly the heaven flame? The beautiful elderly lady with snow-white wings had a soft, melodious voice. "It is the heaven flame." Dishan, the patriarch of Black Wings clan, replied. A strange light lit up in his peculiar eyes. "First, the control style has weakened. Now there appears a guy who possesses heaven flame. Perhaps we can get out of this place this time. Uro, we have to prevent that combative Duolong. I have recognized this human lad as heaven flame. According to Duolong, he should be the one who has killed Han Long. Yeah, we have to deter him. We cannot let anything happen with this little rascal." Uro, the matriarch of White Wings clan, slightly nodded her head. Dishan, the patriarch of the Black Wings clan, and Uro, the matriarch of the White Wings clan, discussed with each other before quickly leaving. Many high-level warriors of Black Wings clan and White Wings clan were currently dealing with Sound Beast's siege at the same place where Dishan and Uro had just left. However, it was not too difficult for them to defeat those beasts. The number of high-level warriors of Black Wings clan and White Wings clan was much more than that of Grey Wings clan. They were all outstanding experienced warriors, bravely coming here from behind the Sound Beast mountain. Their capability in fighting with Sound Beast was extremely tremendous. Even though they encountered the attack of Sound Beasts, as well as had no support from Uro and Dishan, they were still very composed. Kabov demonic sound clan with a contemplating face seemed to consider very carefully before saying, "We need to go over there to see. This little rascal is very special. Maybe he is the key for us to get out of this damn place. That's right. This guy cannot be dead. If he dies, perhaps we will never be able to get out." After Shi Yin had released Heaven Flame and implemented the black formula to gather heaven and earth's yin, Yimeng's attitude changed dramatically. He started to defend Shi Yan's life. "You aren't afraid of the danger of Heaven Flame to our whole tribe now, are you?" Etianimo secretly smiled. "This guy's cultivation is only in the Earth realm. We can still control him. Wait until we get out of this H*TTY place. We will handle him," Kaba coldly said. "Isn't it so?" Etianimo smiled. "I know, everyone is curious about the way he gathers yin. Anyway, we, Demonic Sound Clan, have a big connection with yin. If we can have his method of yin condensation, it is indeed an outstanding improvement for our tribe." This is an important thing of our tribe," Kaba said with a low tone. "So, what are we waiting for? We should go now. If Dolong kills him, we will have nothing." Yimeng excitingly shouted, and quickly flew out. He was not even scared of Demon Child's threat. "Ifeng, see you bye. You two stay here. Absolutely don't leave the ancient city at any cost." Etianimo bowed his head, reminded them, then followed others. Burning fire hovered around Shi Yan's body. Heaven and earth yin revolved above his head. The yin whirl was dozens of times bigger than before just in a short time. At this moment, that whirl turned out to be an ordinary one. The yin compacted in the air like a giant gray dragon twisting while quickly absorbing heaven and earth's yin nearby. More and more heaven and earth's yin came and condensed. Heaven flame on Shi Yan's body was also affected by the yin power. The burning fire inside his body gradually disappeared. While the yin power had fully covered the place, Shi Yan's body was still surrounded by a twirling, dense gray yin layer. It seemed that Sound Beasts intended to storm towards him as his body had been heavier and motionless. Shi Yan's body quietly hovered in the air. While his body was rapidly pulled up along with the whirl on top of his head, it suddenly ceased 100 meters above the ground. He could not control the yin whirl which had just formed. At the moment, Duolong, the patriarch of the Grey Wings clan, was still chasing him. Shi Yin wanted to get out of his current state, but he realized the abnormal change of the yin swirls inside his body had been no longer under his control. Damn the Three Gods sect. Shi Yin could not help but curse. The Black Formula and the Star Martial Spirit of the Three Gods sect both had attributes which were not controlled by him. At this critical point of time, the anomaly of the Black Formula and the Star Martial Spirit of the Three Gods sect could put him in an everlasting perdition. Like this time. At this critical time, when Duolong was chasing behind, he was still motionless because of the anomaly of the Black Formula. His body was locked tightly in the air. In a short moment when Duolong arrived, he could easily kill him. The anomaly of black formula would strike him dead. Being still in the air, he helplessly tried to stop the Een swirls. Regardless of life or death, heaven and earth's Een on top of his head was still rolling in. Each sensible flow of the Een power gathered in the center of the Een swirls first before slowly pouring into meridians. The three small Een pearls inside the Een swirls quickly formed. As soon as the three Een pearls formed, they rapidly fell into meridians. The icy Een power started to stir in meridians rapidly, which made the speed of the Een swirl circulation and the whirl on top of his head even faster. Yin did not know whether to laugh or cry. Heaven and Earth's Een in this place was much denser than that in the Een exhaustion land. In such a short time, the three Een pearls had been formed inside of his meridians. If Duolong was not chasing him behind, he would have felt that the current change was really good. It was so fortunate to make the black formula absorb Een from everywhere. However, Duolong's pursuit made him impossibly excited. Regardless of how much Een he gathered this time, once Duolong arrived, the only option left for him was to die. According to ECU Bai, Duolong was at the peak of the Sky Realm. It was totally true to say that one of his legs had stepped to the profound God Realm with black profound magical power. Those with that level could have easily killed him. When facing the one with several levels higher than him, gathering more or less Een was not really of much use at this point in time. As he quietly sensed heaven and earth's Een gathering, Yin could not do anything but wait for Duolong's arrival. Boom! As soon as Duolong jumped to a gray cloud layer of Een, he was struck out by two black-white wavy circles. Duolong's body shook constantly. Being attacked by the two waving circles, he kept being pushed backward. He was set back 100 meters before standing steadily on the ground. Dishan, Uro. Duolong was livid with rage, shouted towards a direction. Why did you stop me? No one also knew that Kaba, Yiming, Etianimo had also quietly appeared there, hundreds of meters behind Duolong. All of them frowned, looking towards Duolong. And you too. Recognizing the intention of those three people, Duolong turned his around, looking at them, and coldly said, You want to stop me as well? If you want to kill that little rascal, 3 of us will unite to stop you. Yiming nodded his head replying, You dare to confront me? Duolong raised his head up to the sky laughing frigidly. He fiercely said, Mess with Grey Wings clan, did you consider the consequences yet? Enough, Duolong. Dishan's voice suddenly rose up together with a black lightning. Dishan flapped his wings and appeared in front of Duolong in a blink of an eye. Uro gently flew there like a feather, appearing behind Dishan. She unhappily looked at Duolong and said, Duolong, calm down, let's talk. 3 of them have good intentions. They are here also because of our 2 tribes, don't misunderstand them. Dishan and Uro, one on the left, one on the right, blocked Duolong's way. Duolong's expression changed non-stop. When facing the 3 people of Kaba's group, he could howl or shout to intimidate them. But, facing Dishan and Uro, he did not have any of the same determination. The strength of Black Wings clan and White Wings clan were both stronger than that of Grey Wings clan. The personal capability of Dishan and Uro were also 1 level higher than his. Dishan was wicked, Uro was insidious. Duolong understood well their advantages. Him alone, being against any one of them was not a smart move, not to mention these 2 people were already on the same side. Kaba, Yiming, Etianimo would obviously stick together. With their unity, he could not be careless. Why do you protect that little rascal? Duolong clenched his teeth and asked while gradually getting calmer. He can bring us out of here. Heaven Flame in his body could completely burn out the control style of the Sound Beast Mountain. As you have known, inside the Sound Beast Mountain, there should be a way for us to get out of this place. Dishan smiled and spoke to Duolong. That little rascal will die, but not now. Wait until we find out a way to get out of here, then you can freely handle that little rascal. But before that, you are not allowed to harm him. You all have the same thoughts? Duolong looked around. Uro, Kaba, Yiming, Etianimo all nodded. Everyone accepted what Dishan had just said. Okay, I won't touch him, temporarily. Hope your judgment is correct, Duo Long said with a wistful face after contemplating for a while. Under the pressure of those 5 people, he could do nothing but agree with them. He nodded and said, I leave you this place. I will come back to Grey Wing's clan. If there is any change, let me know. One more thing, you have to give me that little rascal later. I want him alive. I can do it, Deshawn calmly said. Duo Long said no more and left with an annoying face, disappearing out of sight in no time. I think we can now go see that little rascal. He is a lovely human being. He brings us a bright light of hope to be out of this place. Yuro smiled mesmerizingly. I know the danger of Heaven Flame to your demonic sound clan, but I hope you would accept the situation and should not do anything wrong. Otherwise, don't blame me for having no mercy. The face of Kaba, Yiming, Etian and Mo changed. Under Yuro's glare, they all nodded, showing their obedience. If we all have agreed with it, let's go over there. After finishing the sentence, Deshawn immediately rushed to Shi Yan's location that was entirely covered by Yin. The others closely followed him with full of curiosity about what Shi Yan had done to that area and how it had turned out. Patriarch, male leader of a clan/tribe. Matriarch, female leader of a clan/tribe. 000. Hello, my dear audience. I am back to provide you with more chapters of this interesting novel. I've received many comments on previous chapters about the translation's quality. I was actually very happy with those constructive comments because it means you are still interested in this novel. I have learned and drawn a lot of experiences from your advice and suggestions. I hope you will find more qualified translated chapters from now on. And I always welcome your comments in order to improve better. By the way, my team is working hard to provide you with more choices on your bookshelf. We have added some new novels which, I am sure, will not disappoint you at all. One of them is Ghost, Catch the Ghost, of which I am also in charge. This novel is a totally different style. If you are a fan of mystery, horror, as well as humor, you definitely cannot miss this one. You can find all in one if you follow throughout the story. I am also waiting for your support and comments on this thrilling novel. Love you all. Have a great day. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.